Valerie, I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Yes. I was browsing, I was actually playing a game sometime last week on my phone, and suddenly an advert popped up, and it was about a cute little dog thing that, done a bit of walking. When you tickled it, it rolled over, and I thought, oh, that would do one or two of my little grandkids. So I thought, yeah, I'll get that.
Was this advert that popped up, it was from a good, reputable, reliable British retailer, was it?
No.
Oh.
It was, I believe it's overseas, possibly America.
Right. Why would you decide to buy something off an American company that advertised on a computer game?
Because it didn't actually mention the company name on the advert. And
right.
Not the company name, the country as to which it came from. It was just the advert for this toy, and a purchase thing. So that was what I was looking at basically. Anyway, I for some reason or the other, I decided that I was going to purchase it, which I did.
How much was it?
It was £54.
Okay.
But for what it did, I thought it was quite a good thing. Anyway,
can you promise me, Valerie, from now on, you'll never buy anything from an advert that pops up on a computer game or on social media?
No, I have learnt my lesson big time.
Please, because I mean, these adverts, they pop up all the time, but please don't. Even if the advert, catches you at a weak moment.
Well, it did.
Yeah, I know, and that's what they're designed to do. So, anyway, it was £54.
It wasn't just myself. Another lady, a friend of mine, she also purchased one, and she purchased it on her credit card for both of us.
Right.
So, in any case, I went to my local library, and I thought I would look up this particular company. And when I got there, I was actually quite shocked when I actually went into the company, because there was people there that lists and lists and lists of not receiving the thing. When the item arrived, it was nothing like they said it was.
Mm-hmm.
To get a refund, it says on the website. To get a refund or to send it back, but there's nothing there. There's no numbers, no nothing. You can't contact them at all.
No.
So I'm at a loss as to how I can actually get my money back.
How did you pay for it?
My friend paid for it on a credit card.
So she paid did you say for two?
For two, yeah, hers and mine.
Okay. So £108 it will have come to, yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, has she tried putting in a Section 75 claim on her credit card?
I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, neither of us knew there was such a thing.
Right, okay. Well, let me just run through a couple of basic things, because there's a couple of things that I need to just make you aware of, not because I want to kind of in any way make you feel silly or make you feel bad, but because so many people listening to the programme may make the same mistake, and I just want to try and prevent it happening. So honestly, I promise you, Valerie,
absolutely.
I'm not having a go at you, because I know so many people, they fall for these kinds of things. There are all kinds of adverts that will pop up on social media and on computer games and this, that and the next thing. Please, ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea where that advert originates from. You have no idea whether it's from a British company, probably not, or from some overseas company. You have no idea whether you're dealing with genuine people or whether you're dealing with scamsters. Even if you do get the item, you have even if this toy did arrive, Valerie, you've got no idea whether or not it complies with safety regulations in this country.
Yes, there is that as well.
It could be dangerous for a child to play with it. So there's all kinds of things people need to bear in mind. If you're on Facebook and an advert pops up for slimming tablets, ignore it. If you're on Instagram and an advert pops up for something and you think, oh, that looks nice, don't. Please. You know, if you decide for whatever reason, when an advert pops up, you think, oh, do you know what? I'd quite like to buy one of those. Take a step back, do your own research, see if you can find the same product available from a British retailer where you will be protected by the Consumer Rights Act and the legislation that exists in this country to provide consumers with some protection when purchasing something from a company. You know, take a step back and make your purchase in a savvy way. That way you stand much less chance of giving your money to, I mean, to be honest with you, God knows who. I mean, do you even know, you said you thought they were in America. Do you still think they're based in America?
Well, that's what it appeared to look like on the site that I went on.
Why do you say that? Because it was in dollars?
Yes.
No, that means nothing.
Oh,
that means nothing. It literally could be anywhere in the world. And I have no idea who's got your money or where it's gone. The only thing I can think of that may well save you is if your friend made a payment on the credit card, you're covered by the Consumer Credit Act. Now, the Consumer Credit Act means that if whatever it is you purchase doesn't arrive, then you would be entitled to reclaim the money from the credit card company. Okay. So when did you actually purchase this cuddly toy?
I believe it was last Wednesday.
Right. And how long does it say it could take to arrive?
7 to 21 days.
Right. Well, it may well still come.
Yeah, possibly. Because, I mean, it's only, I mean, I don't know whether that included weekends, but I mean, it's only roughly, 6 days? 6.5 days.
Well, it may well arrive. But again, I mean, if it does arrive, how do you know whether, firstly, it's going to be any good? How do you know whether it's safe to use? And based on what you're saying, you don't even seem to have an address for the company that you've purchased it from. So if you need to return it to them, I mean, where are you going to send it to?
Well, exactly. I say that the actual site that I went onto, there was absolutely nothing at all on there to send it to, or it says contact, but when you go into contact, you put the cursor over and it just remains there. Nothing comes up. Yeah.
Right. Well, look. I mean, what we can do, and I'm not going to give you any assurances at all on this because I have to be honest with you, my gut feeling is you're probably not dealing with a good, reputable company here. Right. I'm open to having my mind changed, but, well, I'd almost put money on the fact that you've bought it from God knows who in the world. Yeah. And they've nicely got your £108 sitting in their bank account now. And probably it will be very difficult to ever trace it.
Yeah.
But what we can certainly do is try and make some inquiries, try and see who we are dealing with. In the meantime, what I'd like you to do, Valerie, is call your friend and explain to your friend that she needs to contact her. Are you sure it was a credit card and not a debit card?
No, it was definitely a credit card.
Okay. Well, ask her to contact
I specifically asked for a credit card.
Did you? Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I would advise her to do is to contact the credit card company and to say she wants to claim that money back because it's come to light that you're not dealing with a company that provides good quality goods and the product has not turned up. The chances are the credit card company will not be prepared to do anything at this stage. They will probably want to wait until the 21 days has passed to see if the product does turn up. But I think it's certainly worth registering this and getting that call into them now. Okay?
Right. Yeah, will do.
Promise me, Valerie, you won't buy from this kind of company again.
No, I've had my fingers burned. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have spoken before to people who have fallen for this kind of thing, and then somebody else gets them in a slightly different way. It's, so please just be very aware. Now you've purchased from this company, you are very likely to be bombarded on this game and on social media and the internet. You are very likely to now be bombarded with adverts.
Okay.
Because they will recognise that you've bought once, the chances are you'll buy again.
No, well, no, definitely not.
Okay. All right, listen, we will see what we can find out about this so-called company you've purchased this toy from, and we'll take it from there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Valerie, thank you very much indeed. I shall pass you back to Miles and we'll get all the detail we need. Now, Julia's son started driving lessons before the pandemic struck. When lockdown happened, the lessons stopped. But when things started to open up again, well, things didn't go to plan.
So the driving instructor asked if he'd like to take the rest of his lessons. My son did say no. The reason was he didn't want, I think he was owed three lessons, 3 2-hour lessons, and he didn't want to take the 3 lessons in case there was another lockdown. And for him, it would be like he'd just forget what he'd learnt. And he wanted to wait until everything was open up properly so he could take the 3 lessons and then carry on rebooking his other lessons until he gets his test. When everything was opened up again fully, as we are now, every time he was trying to get hold of the driving instructor, he was on holiday, or he just give excuse after excuse. My son offered to take days off work to fit him in, take him early in the morning. Yeah, there was just a lot of to and fro-in.
Well, Julia feels as if her son's not being treated very fairly. That's why she came to my programme to ask if I could help. Well, it's been very interesting trying to get hold of this driving instructor. Julia's back on the JVS show. Hello, Julia.
Hi, JVS.
Hello, Julia. Right, so let me just recap and explain to everyone what's been going on behind the scenes. To start with, when I took all the detail after the programme, all we had for this driving instructor was a first name and a mobile number.
Yeah.
Which I was a bit surprised at, to be honest, because, you know, with most good, reputable driving instructors that have a proper driving school, you know, they've got a website or they've certainly got some kind of social media presence. And most driving instructors will trade through their mobile phone. So you'd expect when you put the mobile phone number into the internet that it will come up with a website or a company name. With this particular driving instructor, the mobile number didn't come up with anything at all. And
No.
I was a bit concerned because I was thinking, well, how do we even know we're dealing with a proper driving instructor? I can't say genuinely, Julia, at this stage, I am still even confident that we are dealing with a proper driving instructor. Because even when you gave me his details, there doesn't seem to be anything registered to him as an individual. Now, the reality is that lots of people can just, you know, decide that they're going to teach people how to drive a car. And I don't know for sure whether this particular driving instructor, this is not to say that I have any evidence to back up the fact that he's not, but I still don't know that he is a proper qualified driving instructor. I called him and I explained the situation, and he was instantly fairly defensive, to be honest with you, Julia. And his argument was, well, if Julia's son hasn't called into you, if you've received a call from his mum, why hasn't she called me? Because I'm talking to her son. I said, well, are you? He said, yeah, I'm talking to her son. So why has she called you? Perhaps she'd like to call me. If she's got a problem with this, perhaps she'd like to call me. So I called you back and I said, look, Julia, he wants to talk to you. Can you give him a bell? Did you give him a bell?
I did, yes.
How did you get on?
At first, there was a little bit of to-ing and fro-ing, but eventually...
By to-ing and fro-ing, do you mean he was a bit eggy?
Yes, yeah.
I thought that's probably what you were likely to encounter.
Yeah, but I'm not argumentative, and I don't raise my voice to anybody really, and I just wanted to come to some sort of conclusion that was happy for us all. So eventually, he did offer to give my son a refund of the 5 hours and take an hour for admin fees, which I agreed. I thought that was great. So I gave him all my son's details. And he said he would try and give him his refund at the beginning of this week.
Right. Okay.
So he's got all the details. So my son's just waiting for a refund. I've messaged him. He's had nothing as yet.
Yeah.
But I suppose maybe Wednesday, I think's fair, or Thursday.
I would hope so. And I would certainly advise for anybody listening to the programme, and particularly for any parents, youngsters very often, they're not quite as savvy as they need to be when it comes to dealing with companies and dealing with proper qualified people. Make sure that your son or daughter, if they're going to learn to drive, make sure that you establish they are learning to drive with a proper, reputable driving school. It can be an independent person, but an independent person still needs to be running their own independent, proper driving school. As I say, I can't find any record. This man was suggesting on social media that he runs the largest independent driving school in the country. Well, I can't find it. So it's a bit strange, Julia. That's all I'll say. And you need to make sure that your son or daughter is learning to drive with a proper qualified driving instructor that, very importantly, has insurance to be a driving instructor. Because if you don't even know the name of the driving school that your son or daughter is learning to drive through, if you haven't established that they are properly qualified to do that, if you haven't established that they've got a good track record and they've got lots of successful candidates who've all passed their driving test, and very importantly, that they are adequately insured so that your son or daughter is properly insured when they are driving that vehicle, ultimately, if you haven't established all of that, you may well be sending your son or daughter off into a car with someone that actually, unwittingly, they're in quite a dangerous position. So I would say when you get the money back from this man, I mean, the relationship is probably, it's past. Your son's not going to want to learn to drive with him, and I would imagine this man's not going to want to teach your son anyway.
No, he's with someone else now.
Right, okay. And the person that he's with now, it's a proper good driving school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got all the details.
The other guy was word of mouth. I think he taught a couple of his friends.
And listen, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. If somebody says, you want to learn to drive with my driving instructor, that's fine. But then what you need to do is then do your own due diligence. Look up the person, see have they got a website? Have they got a telephone number that's registered? Have they been around for years? Make some inquiries, ask what their success rate is in terms of how many pupils are passing their driving test, all of that kind of stuff. Find out who their insurance is with, all of those kinds of things. At least then when your son or daughter goes off for their driving lesson, you know that they're in very good hands.
Yeah, peace of mind.
Absolutely. Will you please let me know as soon as you receive the money? At this stage, I'm not going to play this man anything at all. I will wait to hear that confirmation, so please keep me posted if you would, Julia. Lou came to me. She was telling me she purchased a shiplap shed about 3 years ago, and she used a team provided by the retailer to install it for her. It's 12 foot by 8 foot, and it cost her over £1,000. She was expecting it to last.
I hadn't used the shed over the winter, and when I opened it up in spring, everything was just covered in mildew and damp, and it just smelled awful, that awful smell. And I also noticed that 2 of the shed boards had just broken, had just snapped. So I emailed the retailer. That was actually in April 2021, so that the shed wasn't actually 3 years old yet. I felt it wasn't fit for purpose because it hadn't kept the items in there dry, hadn't lasted a reasonable time, and therefore wasn't of reasonable quality because it was all coming in, damp was coming in through the windows and the floorboards had all broken. And they came back and they said, no one else has had this issue with their shed. They then came back and said, but their policy is 6 months that I have to complain.
Well, as we all know, Lou has much more protection than that. The Consumer Rights Act states that anything you purchase must be fit for purpose, of reasonable quality, and must last for a reasonable amount of time. Who in their right mind would spend £1,000 on a new shed that 3 years later was letting in so much moisture that all of the stuff inside was ruined? Not me, that's for sure. So I went off to have a word with the company on Lou's behalf. She's back on the JVS show. Hello, Lou.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning. So just to kind of briefly bring us up to speed, and I won't go through all of it again because I've done so many times on the programme, but the retailer concerned is B&Q. B&Q, after a little bit of difficulty in the first place, but we won't dwell too much on that, finally agreed that they were indeed going to pull out all the stops to sort this out for you. And that was going to involve initially sending someone out to assess what the problem was. When they assessed what the problem was, they said, OK, we will provide you with a new shed. We'll come and build it for you. We'll take down the old one. But we believe the new one needs to be put on a concrete base.
Yeah.
And you are responsible for building the concrete base. Well, you were a bit grumpy about that because you said, well, hang on a minute. You know, when you first installed the shed 3 years ago, you didn't tell me that it needed a concrete base. If you had, I would have had a concrete base put down at that stage. And materials 3 years ago were significantly cheaper than they are now.
Yep.
So what would have cost me 300 quid 3 years ago will now cost me more like £1,000 for a concrete base. Anyway, again, B&Q said they would assist you in terms of the concrete. And they said that they would also provide you with storage for your possessions. They really were pulling out all the stops. Now, when we spoke at the end of last week, you said you were expecting the chap... Oh.
No.
You said you were expecting the chaps to turn up. They weren't there yet, but you wondered whether maybe they were a bit delayed in terms of building your new shed for you. I'm slightly nervous now by that giggle because I'm nervous as to whether it's a giggle because you're relieved that everything is finally over or because you're about to break bad news to me. What happened?
It's a bit of each. So the components for the shed turned up on Friday about 2:00.
Yeah.
So it's late, but fine, it turned up. Now, what I didn't realise is it was just a delivery. I had presumed that they would be installing it as well, and the chap said, no, we come down from the West Midlands to deliver the shed, and then someone will come out separately to install it. So I got back to the company on Friday, and there is someone that should be coming out today to install it. And I think I've had to come out to walk the dog, but I've texted my partner, and he has arrived to start installing the shed. Live shed updates.
Lovely. So the concrete base is all beautifully finished, ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a thing of beauty. Yep.
Is it? Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's someone I know is having an extension done at the moment, and I went round to their property on Friday, and they've laid the concrete foundations, and again, so beautifully done. It's almost a shame to cover them up.
I know, and the pigeons kept going on it, and I was getting cross, thinking, no, this isn't your patch.
No,
I've got plans for this.
Quite. The fact you'll never really see that concrete base again, but it will just quietly provide structure and integrity to your shed.
Absolutely. So we are getting there, because obviously everything that's in storage comes back tomorrow. So I was just a bit worried about the shed being assembled for tomorrow. But so far, so good.
Right.
So far, so good.
Okay. And he's chosen a very nice day to come and build it for you.
Well, absolutely, very much so.
Good.
So the shed needs to be assembled. Then our only last thing is obviously we paid for what we would, B&Q wanted us to pay for what we were paying for, to then invoice them back. So then I just need to make sure we get the monies back that they'd agreed to.
Well,
just to round everything off.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Listen to this. Oh.
Absolutely.
A few honks at long last for B&Q.
Yes.
They will. Yes. That's for the fact they delivered the stuff on Friday.
Yep.
Now the chap has turned up. How long is it going to take him?
Well, I would think probably about 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours.
Fine.
Yeah.
Can we talk again tomorrow, please, to hopefully update the fact that the shed is now standing? And I don't know, would you be able to take a photo?
Oh, absolutely. I might even make it my, image for social media. I'm that excited.
I think that would be a good idea. And I don't know, would we be able to speak to you inside the shed tomorrow?
Live shed speaking, absolutely. That should be fine.
Nice. Fine, okay.
Yeah, well, take down all the school pictures of the children that are on the mantelpiece and just replace them with pictures of the shed.
That's you could have a nice framed photo of your shed on your bedside cabinet, couldn't you? That'd be lovely. Yeah. Okay, well, look, we will book you in to speak on the programme tomorrow, and fingers crossed, I'll be able to give B&Q a substantial part of the horn, because
That
they've
would
had
be very
a
exciting.
little bit today, and they'll hopefully get the majority of it tomorrow. Now, Michael came to me. He was telling me his wife needed to get her leather boots rehealed. So he took them into a local shop. A little while later, he went to pick them up. But when he got home, he noticed there was something very wrong with them.
We got home, put all our shopping away, and my wife said, let me check my boots while I'm there. And she checked the boots. All the heels were done lovely, but the back of the leather boots were all frayed, and they weren't like that at all when we gave them in. And my wife's autistic, so she started getting really upset and crying, saying, look what he'd done to my boots. So I went back to the shop the next day, and the bloke behind the counter said, no, they were like that when they come in. I said, no, they wasn't.
Well, the company was refusing to do anything about it, and they put this down to general wear and tear. But Michael said that he was very frustrated by this. He absolutely insists that the boots were not damaged when they were taken into that particular repair shop. Well, I contacted the company for Michael last week. Let's find out how I got on and see if there have yet been any developments, because Michael's back on the JVS show. Hello, Michael.
Morning, JVS.
Now, as I explained to you on the programme last week, this was always going to be a bit difficult, because when you collected the boots from the shop, although, as far as I'm concerned, it would be normal for the shop to want to show off their work to you so that you could say, oh, yes, that's lovely, or not, as the case may be. There's also a level of responsibility on you, the consumer, to have checked the goods before you took them away. I completely understand why you didn't, because, you know, the boots were handed to you in a carrier bag, weren't they? And I presume you've got other shopping. You've used this company before, so you weren't in any way concerned about their ability to do the job. So you just trusted that the boots inside that bag would be perfect. The trouble is, by the time you got home, it's then very difficult to prove what state those boots were in at the point of them arriving with the company. Now, I'm hoping that there might be some encouraging news on this, because I contacted the company for you last week, and I was put through to their head of customer service, who seemed to be a very nice lady. And I explained the situation. She kind of tapped away on her computer, and your details came up, so they could obviously see that you'd already been in touch to complain. And I said, I completely understand this is the customer's word against your member of staff's word, but I'm just wondering if there is a way of being able to ascertain exactly what has gone on. For example, would you have CCTV in this particular branch of this shop? Could you go and look at the CCTV and review the state of the boots when they came in? Anyway, as I say, she seemed very nice, and she seemed keen. She certainly was not dismissive of your complaint at all, and seemed keen to go away and look into it. Did you hear anything from them at all last week?
Yes, I heard from a lady in customer services.
What did she say?
She's not admitting liability, but she said she wants to give me a goodwill gesture.
Right.
So she offered me £50 plus the cost of the repair of the boots. That I said I've thrown the boots away, and she said to me it'd be in your bank. She took my bank details. It'd be in your bank within 3 and 5 days.
Wow.
And I've had an email, so I presume everything all right. So if you want to give her a bit of the horn, and then you can speak to me another time when I get the money in my bank if you want.
Well, you've listened to my programme before, Michael, haven't you? You know the form.
All the time.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's good, and I think that's fair. I wasn't aware of the fact. Why did you throw the boots away?
Oh, after I spoke to the lady.
Yeah. No. But why did you?
They're ruined. They're ruined. JVS.
Yeah, I know. But, well, I mean, we're lucky, really, that she decided to do what she's done, because if they then said, oh, we want to inspect the boots...
Oh, no, I only threw them away after I had the discussion with her, and I received the email.
Oh, okay, fine. So you still had them at the point you appeared on my programme last week, if we needed them. Okay.
I did. The lady was lovely. I can't fault her. You're probably the same lady you spoke to. She was absolutely lovely.
Yeah, well, she's the head of customer services, so, I mean, you would expect the head of customer services to be good at dealing with customers, and she certainly 100%. Seemed to be. And I think, to be honest, the offer of £50 plus, I think it was what? It was about £9, wasn't it? The cost of the heel. £10.50. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking at almost the cost of the boots back.
Yes.
Which, considering your wife had obviously had use from those boots previously, I think that seems like a very fair offer.
Oh, very, very fair indeed. Well happy.
Good. Okay. Well, if you're happy, I'm happy. We're all happy, Michael. Shall I give this company? Oh, I'll just retain a few honks for when the money turns up.
Do you need me to ring you back, or will you ring me back in the future?
Can you please let me know as soon as that money turns up?
Will do.
Lovely. Michael, I'll talk to you very soon. Now, Paul was having cancer surgery and was having some difficulty coping with his petrol mower. So in May of 2019, his mother-in-law bought him a new electric cordless mower, which she thought would be easier for him to use. Since then, Paul says he hasn't used the mower much. But when he did last go to use it, well, it was making a very peculiar noise.
I went to use it, and literally as soon as it hit any length of grass, it suddenly made this ooh, and stopped. It has occasionally done, when it's long, either at the end of, if I haven't cut it for a few weeks. But so I put it on the highest setting, and still nothing. It was ooh, it went.
Well, I mean, you'd expect it to go, but you'd expect it to carry on going, and not stop. That seemed to be the big problem. Now, I went off to have a word with this television shopping channel on Paul's behalf because they seemed to be under the impression that they didn't have to do anything, which, of course, you all who listen to my programme and hear me banging on about the same old thing day in, day out, you know that's not true. You know that whether you purchase this from a television shopping channel in the United Kingdom or any other retailer, when you purchase goods, they must be fit for purpose, of reasonable quality, and must last for a reasonable amount of time. I went off to speak to them. They contacted Paul's mother-in-law, of course their customer. They said, OK, well, if you have a report carried out that proves that the lawnmower has a manufacturing defect, we'll sort it all out. We'll give you your money back. Paul went away and did that. He managed to find a very good local lawnmower repair guy who wrote him a report for nothing. How often can you say that? That report was sent off to the television shopping channel. They said, OK, that's fine. We will issue you with a refund. But the refund hadn't arrived when I last spoke to Paul. Let's very much hope that has now changed. Paul's back on the JVS show. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, thank you. I hope you are too. Your mother-in-law, I know, she doesn't go to the bank very often to check her statement, but she was going to go back in on Friday of last week just to see if that money had indeed gone into her account, because the television shopping channel promised it would be paid last week. What happened?
We've got the money.
Oh, thank goodness.
Exactly. Yeah, it was. I think it was actually paid on the day. So I think it went in on the 25th of October. So second time around, it actually arrived as they had promised. So yes, I think we go for the full horn.
Are you happy?
Yeah, very, very happy. Thank you very much indeed. You've been excellent. I think without you, we wouldn't have got anywhere near this. So we really appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure. And what are you going to do about your new lawnmower? Are you going to get one this year or wait till the spring?
I'm probably going to get one because I'm looking at my lawn as it stands, and I'd like to cut it before the winter. So I've now got some money to go and buy one.
There we go. Well, I hope you have lots of success with the new one. I will thank the television shopping channel very much indeed. Paul, any other problems, you know where we are. Nicole is on the line. Hello, Nicole.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Okay, so we decided to get married in British Columbia. So we booked all the wedding out there. But because none of our friends and family were able to come out with us, we decided that we would have a reception back here when we got back.
Why did you want to get married in British Columbia?
So it was a 20-year dream of mine to go out there and see the orcas and the humpbacks and all the wildlife. And we actually went out there about 6 years ago.
Right.
We've been going out there every year since until COVID happened. And it's just absolutely beautiful out there, Jonathan. And while we're out there, we go on a kayaking trip and we stay on a tiny little island, which you can walk around in about 3 minutes and you get killer whales and humpbacks that come past and amazing sunsets. And the guy that owns the kayaking company agreed, because we become good friends with him, agreed for us to let us get married there. So it was going to be a dream wedding.
Right. Okay.
So,
but nobody else would be able to come with you?
No, we decided that we would just, because we've both been married before, we decided that we would do it with some friends that actually live out on the islands. And then we would have a celebration when we got back here, and, our parents being older and things, and most of our friends, it'd be expensive for them. So we thought we'd have a really nice celebration back here to and share it with all the family and friends.
Okay. So what happened?
So we found the perfect venue, which was lovely. So we booked it, which was fine. And then COVID happened.
This is the venue in the UK, yeah?
It is. Yes, sorry, It's a venue in the UK. So we went into lockdown. I didn't get in contact with the venue or anything. Thought, they're probably like everyone else, struggling in these strange times. And then, so in June 2020, it became a realisation that we wasn't going to get out to Canada because the borders were all shut from the UK and Canada. And obviously weddings weren't happening back here either. So I emailed them and asked them what was happening. I didn't hear anything back. I chased them up again in July to tell them that we wouldn't be able to get married in 2020. And could we have a refund, or whether there'd be any other options. Still didn't hear anything. And then at the end of July, I got a phone call from the hotel, and it was a wedding coordinator manager. And she said the lady that we had been dealing with wasn't working. And she said they wouldn't give us a refund, but what they would do is give us a chance to change our date.
Right.
And I said,
how much had you paid for the deposit?
£450.
Right. Okay.
So I said at the time that, it was difficult for us because we wouldn't really know what was going to be happening with the borders in Canada, and hopefully everything would be all right in 2021. But if we was to go ahead and give them another date, if anything happened where we couldn't have that date, would they then allow us to move the date again? And they said that they would. So
did they say that in writing?
Well, I asked for that. So I said, would you send everything in writing? She said, yep, I'll send it all through today, which they didn't. And I did chase it up, and I didn't hear anything else from them. And the problem with the phone number that we have is it only goes through to reservations, and they say they can't put you through to anyone else. So I just sent through emails to the email contacts that I had, didn't get anything back. And then I think with everything going on with COVID, I just thought, I'll wait and I'll get back in touch near the time. So we went into another lockdown this year, and then...
Sorry, what was the date that you'd agreed to change it to?
It was the beginning of October 21.
October 21. Okay.
So obviously we went through another lockdown, and I got back in contact with them in May this year, asking them again if they could send me through all the details that we'd agreed. I didn't hear anything. Sent them another email, and they finally come back to me on the same day they responded and sent me the contract, but they didn't send me anything else about the agreement with the date. And I did say to them at the time on this date that the reason I was getting in contact was because it was becoming apparent that we wasn't going to be able to get married because Canada wasn't open the borders to anyone. So she replied back to me and said, I remember you telling me about this, but as it's not the hotel's fault because we can still honour the reception, we can't give you a refund. But what we could do is offer you 3 days stay at the hotel, and if there's any money left over, you can spend it at the hotel as well.
Okay.
Which sounds
could you not have, because obviously COVID has thrown everyone's plans into complete disarray. Could you not have tried to make the best of it by by saying, look, okay, well, we'll get married and we'll get married at the hotel in the UK, and then maybe we'll have our honeymoon to British Columbia as soon as we're able to?
Well, we could have done if we wanted to spend that sort of money. We're kind of working on a bit of a budget, so we wouldn't have been able to afford both. It wasn't really an option for us.
I don't understand, because surely if you're planning to go to British Columbia to have the wedding and then also planning some kind of event here, why would that be cheaper than if you decided to get married here and then have a honeymoon in Canada?
Well, we wouldn't be able. Well, the wedding would have been probably a lot more. So we'd been looking at probably another £3,000 on top of what we'd be paying out for Canada.
Right.
And it wasn't really what we wanted to do. We got our heart set on getting married on this lovely island, where, I mean, the kayaking owner, he'd arranged, because you've got the native Indians that live out there, and he had arranged for us to get ordained into one of the tribes as part of the wedding ceremony, and all sorts. So it was going to be, absolutely amazing. And we'd both been married before. In fact, my partner, he's been married twice before. So we wanted something that really meant the world to us, and, to get married.
So, sorry, you were going to join a tribe on your wedding day? Yeah,
it was Larry, who runs the company out there. He's very into all there's a lot of native Indian history.
Is Larry in the tribe?
No, he's not. He's Canadian. But he does a lot of work with British Columbia parks and things. So he goes and helps them, especially in times of need and things. And he knew how much, particularly myself, loves the orcas. And so he had found one of the tribes, their spiritual animal is an orca. So he went and asked whether, as part of our wedding, whether they would do a wedding ceremony for us, ordaining us into the tribe, which is pretty special in itself, because we're obviously from the UK and they just don't do this. But because he explained how much we loved it out there, and we would love to live out there if we could. But
right. So in terms of just going back to the venue in the UK then, so they said, look, you can use the venue in October of 21, so it's not our fault that you have these elaborate plans for your wedding where it means that for whatever reason you're not able to do that in October. Yeah. But they offered you a stay at the hotel instead. Was that something you then accepted?
No, we didn't. I went back to him. So this was all on the same day that this correspondence was. I went back to him and said that's not really an option for us, because we only live 15 minutes away. So we wouldn't really, appreciate staying in a hotel that's 15 minutes, which is not really, much to do.
No, I see. So what would you like, and what can I do to help you?
Well, I'd originally asked them if they would, allow me to, push the date out to another time. And I've just not heard anything back, Jonathan. I mean, I've sent numerous emails. I've even been down to the hotel and spoke to the receptionist, excuse me, who said that she would put a high alert on their email system for them to contact me. And she said they would contact me that day. And they haven't. They've just ignored everything that I've sent to them. So part of it was I wanted them to speak to me. But
let me go and have a word with them and let's see what they have to say. I mean, obviously there are two sides to every story, and you, I'm sure, will recognise and appreciate that whilst COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on your wedding plans, it will have had a devastating impact on this venue as well.
Yes, of course.
And from a business perspective, there are many, many businesses that have said, look, we will allow people to change their dates for a date when a wedding is possible. But then if somebody says, well, even though the wedding is possible at that date, I still don't want it on that date, you surely can understand why for some venues they will start to get to a point where they feel it's just not viable to keep on allowing you to change the date.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I mean, and one of my frustrations is when we first spoke to them, and our option was we wanted a refund. That was our first option. We agreed to move the date because we could completely understand that it's not it's not the hotel's fault. It is unprecedented times.
So when do you want to get married?
Well, we'd love to get married next year.
Right. And what do you do? Do you have to kind of run it past the tribe first just to see whether the date will fit with them?
Yeah, we will do, and make sure that the Canadian borders are open to the UK, which hopefully they will. They will be.
Well, okay. So let me see what I can do. Miles, can we just get a bit of detail, please? And can we contact this venue? Just explain the circumstances and see if there is anything they can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fine. Okay, Nicole, I'll pass you back. In fact, I tell you what, can Miles call you back? Because I need to talk to Miles about Stephen's holiday to Turkey. So
yes,
can he call you back, please?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. It's the JVS show, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, Stephen didn't want to go to Canada and join a tribe. He booked a holiday to Turkey for next year. And he's very hopeful that by then he should be able to jet off without any kind of COVID restrictions at all. A couple of months later, though, things started to go a bit wrong.
I was on this social media hotel group, and they said, my holiday's been cancelled. And 3 or 4 more people said, same thing, holiday's been cancelled. So I contacted the holiday provider. I said, apparently the holiday's been cancelled. They said, no, it hasn't. No, still going ahead, you're all good. I left it a week or so, and I contacted the holiday provider saying, is it still okay? And they said, oh, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's still okay. I'm thinking, well, that's strange. So I contacted the hotel direct. I said, could you tell me if my holiday's still going ahead? And they said, oh, no, that's cancelled. They just said, yeah, I'm sorry, that booking's cancelled. So contacted the holiday provider again. I said, I'm just, is this holiday still going ahead? And they said, oh, yeah. And I went, well, I've got an email from the hotel direct saying it's cancelled. They said, oh, no, that's not right.
Well, Stephen was very confused and concerned. On one hand, the holiday company is saying, yeah, don't worry, your holiday's fine. But then the hotel's saying, no, it's absolutely not fine. He's very concerned that if it gets to next year, it could potentially get to the last stage when the holiday company will then say, actually, terribly sorry about this, but your holiday is cancelled, and then Stephen won't have anything. And any other holiday that is available will be much more expensive. So he wants a concrete guarantee now that the holiday will indeed go ahead next year. Well, Stephen's back on the JVS show. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, mate.
Hello. I sent Miles off to talk to the holiday company. You've done that. Who are they and what are they saying, Miles?
So we contacted TUI, who have provided the following statements. They've said, we're very sorry for the confusion with Stephen's booking. We can confirm that Stephen's holiday is still going ahead and that he will be able to travel as planned.
Right. Well, that sounds
good.
Well, it does sound good, and there's no kind of hesitation in that statement.
No.
So they are very confident the holiday is still on and is still going ahead.
Well, that's what the statement would suggest.
Right. I think we need to get confirmation from the hotel as well, though. Have we contacted the hotel yet?
Yeah, so when that statement came back, we thought it would be a good idea to send an email to the hotel. So I have done that. I haven't heard anything back just yet, but as soon as we do, of course, we'll let Stephen know.
Right. Stephen, what's your reaction to the fact that TUI are saying to us, yep, no problem, the holiday is definitely going ahead?
Yeah, it's very strange. I'll contact the hotel again as well just to see if they've changed anything. But yeah, it does seem very strange because the last contact I had with TUI was they said, oh no, we'll get the holiday change people onto you because, So why would they say that and now they're saying it's still going ahead?
When we received that response back from TUI on Friday, I went on the TUI website and had a look, and this hotel is indeed, it's still on there as a hotel you can go to and book. So
he's on there. You try and book a week, everything's full. It's very strange that you can't get a week at all next year.
Really?
Yeah. Because when it popped up again, I thought, I'll try, and I tried loads of weeks, different months, all for next year, and you couldn't get one. So I'm thinking, really? not every week of every month next year should be booked up. But
Well,
that's what they're saying.
Does seem a little bit odd. Okay,
Yeah.
well, look, let's try not to panic. We've got it in writing from TUI that as far as they're concerned, your holiday's going ahead.
Right.
If we then can get from the hotel a confirmation from them that indeed your holiday's booked with them and they're happy to honour it, then I don't think you've got too much to worry about.
No, that'll be fine.
But I do grant you, it does seem a little bit strange.
Yeah.
Little bit odd. Yeah, okay. Well, look, let's not say too much more now until we get that confirmation from the hotel.
Right, okay.
All right, Stephen, we'll talk to you very soon. Hopefully we will receive that confirmation this week on the JVS show. Hello, Sue.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you, Sue. I hope you are too. I gather you've got a problem with your husband's beard trimmer. Tell me everything without naming any company names, please.
Okay, right. It's an absolute nightmare. The beginning of the month, the 10th of October, I ordered, well, my friend ordered, because I haven't got any of that equipment, so she does everything online for me. I ordered some rather expensive beard trimmers for his birthday, and with all the accessories and everything. Anyway, 2 days later, a parcel arrived at my house, my address, and the parcel was the size of the palm of my hand. So I knew that something was absolutely wrong, because it should have been in a box the size of a shoebox. So I opened it, and it was like a hairbrush, and it got written on it, hair teaser. And it was the size, as I say, of the palm of my hand. I thought, oh, my goodness. So I rang my friend, told her, she said...
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes?
Right. First of all, the beard trimmer, how much had you spent on it?
£80.40.
Oh, blimey. Right, okay.
I know, they were luxury ones. It was for his 50th birthday, and he wanted them.
Well, I mean, if you see, I can't grow a beard. For two reasons I can't grow a beard. Firstly, because whenever I try and grow a beard, I mean, you wouldn't know this, Sue.
No.
But for us men, you get to a stage where it's so blooming itchy, you can't bear... you can scratch your face off. It drives you absolutely berserk how itchy it is. But also, my beard doesn't match what's on the top.
Oh,
so
right.
I've got a bright ginger beard.
Oh, really?
And then I've got kind of luxury blonde / grey / white hair.
Oh, wouldn't look right, would it?
I look like a garden gnome gone wrong, to be honest, if I grow a beard. So I can't grow one. But if you've got a beard, you might as well have really nice trimmers.
Yeah, well, he hasn't got a beard. He just has stubble. I like stubble, but he likes to keep it in a shape. So it's not actually a beard.
Oh. Right. Okay. So when you say this package turned up and it was the size of the palm of your hand.
Yes, yeah.
And what did you say was in it?
Well, I've never seen one before, but I opened it up and I read what it said. It said hair teaser. And it was
hair
like
teaser.
Yeah, I've never heard or seen anything before, but it was absolutely nothing to do with what I'd ordered. So my friend said, bring it round, we'll email them and we'll send it back, which we did. We emailed them, said it was absolutely nothing like what I ordered. And we packed it up, sent it back, went to the post office and sent it back. Didn't hear from them for a couple of days. And they said they haven't received anything. Now we know they have because we tracked it and they received it back on the 18th. So they're saying they've not received it. We've had 29 emails from them saying, we haven't received it. It's not in our warehouse. We can't find it. Now, it isn't my problem they can't find it. We know that it's gone back because we tracked it and they're just saying they haven't had it back. So now, after they've actually had it back for 3 weeks, they're now asking us for a photograph of the object that we have sent back. Now, how can I send a photograph of something I sent back over 2 weeks ago? They're saying they cannot find it in their warehouse. It's nowhere. They will deal with it. And 3 weeks ago, they said, we'll get back to you in 72 hours. Nothing ever come back to us. So my friend's been emailing them, and we're just getting absolutely nothing back. And now the last text we got was a couple of days ago, asking again for proof of sending. And we cannot find it anywhere. When we found it in our warehouse, we will get back to you within 72 hours. So I've not got my partner's trimmers. I've not being reimbursed because I now want to be reimbursed because I had to buy them from another company for his birthday. So I've actually spent £160 on beard trimmer.
Right. Well, I was going to say, I mean, if you hadn't bought the beard trimmer, well, he'd look like David Bellamy.
I know. And I'm not into David Bellamy, no. I'd rather have you with your ginger beard and your grey hair than David Bellamy. Oh, my God.
I've just had a little look. What is a hair teaser? It says here, back combing, also known as teasing or ratting, is a way of combing hair which is used to create volume as well as to create certain hairstyles.
Well, he doesn't want any of that.
Back combing is done by repeatedly combing the hair towards the scalp, causing the hair to tangle and knot up. Well, it sounds awful.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's just got stubble. He doesn't want to really backcomb his stubble, does he, Jonathan? You know what I mean?
What did it look like, this hair teaser?
A little round plastic thing, blue-coloured, and it fitted in the palm of my hand.
Well, did it look like a brush or a comb or what?
Yeah, well, I couldn't see any bristles because I think you flipped it open like a compact and the bristles were inside like a compact container.
Right.
You know, a lady's powder compact. It was similar to that.
Yeah.
But I'm just not getting anything from them, and I mean, it's now a month. And when my friend emailed them and said, well, the lady who ordered them is now going to the radio program, your radio program, and the email we got back from that, you wouldn't believe. They just went, ha ha, we'll sort it out within 3 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
They actually said in their email, ha ha.
Yes. Ha ha, we'll sort it. I've got it written down here because I'm a bit forgetful with the COVID virus that I had. Ha ha, we will sort it out in 3 weeks when we have received it back. Now, we know they received it back on the 18th because we tracked it.
Right. Well, I don't think saying to a customer, ha ha, is terribly professional. I mean, your friend, I don't want anything that will identify which company she bought this from, but did she buy the beard trimmer from a proper reputable company?
Well, actually, you see, my partner works away all the time, and I said, send me a list of things, text me a list of things that you want for your birthday so I can choose one or two of them. And he works on track for Network Rail, and he works away all the time. I have spoken to you about it. But he sent me a list of things, very expensive things, that he wanted, and that company was the one that he sent for me to send for his.
Oh, so he chose the company?
Yes, he just looked down when he was working on his email or whatever he looked down on.
So it's whatever company was the first one that came up rather than a proper.
Okay.
But
you see, I can't say the name, obviously, because I don't want you telling me off.
No.
But after it didn't come, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not going to have anything to give him for his birthday, and it is a special birthday, his 50th, and I know he really wants them. So I ordered again from a company I always use, and they were here within 12 hours.
Well, there you go. And there you go. Like, you know, I think sometimes people, when they're buying stuff off the internet, they forget that the internet is a big wide world, and there are some fantastic people and companies on the internet, and there are some truly awful ones.
I know.
And, you know, I still, whenever I try and buy something from the internet, I always try and buy something from a good, genuine, reliable company, because to be honest with you, Sue, life is so short.
I don't need it.
It's such a hassle dealing with all this kind of stuff. You know, it's such a waste of life, isn't it, really?
And it really has given me sleepless nights, because £80.50, okay, it's not an awful lot. But when I've had to pay another £80.50 out, that's £160.
When you say he'd sent you a list of some other things, and some of them were quite expensive, I mean, he's obviously got expensive tastes.
He has,
What were some of the other things he'd suggested?
Handmade tan, I know you don't like tan shoes, homemade, home-done tan shoes from the Northampton company, which cost me £200.
I don't know where you got that from. I like tan shoes.
But you don't.
Yeah, I do.
We had a conversation about it. I said that tan shoes look lovely with blue, a blue suit. And
well,
you
that's
said,
where you're wrong.
Not.
No. That's where you're wrong. With the suit, tan shoes don't. Tan shoes look naff. But tan shoes are lovely, you know. I mean, if you've got lovely tan shoes with the right outfit, gorgeous.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, so let's not fall out.
No, I'm not going to fall out. I love you to bits.
Let's not fall out. Let's see what we can do. Miles.
Yes.
Have you got tan shoes, Miles? You look like a man w'ho'd wear tan shoes.
What, are you accusing me of wearing tan shoes now? No, I don't think I do, actually.
Oh dear. And now look what
I like
you've
a brown
started.
shoe.
Yeah, well, that's kind of tan, isn't it?
Darker brown.
Dark
brown shoe.
Okay. With what? If you were going to wear a blue suit?
Yes.
No,
so like a navy blue
no.
suit with a dark brown shoe.
No.
What shoe are you wearing with a blue suit then?
Black.
No.
Always
black.
No.
Always black shoe. It's very naff to wear a brown shoe.
It looks nice.
There's different colour browns. These are gorgeous. I mean, for the money I've paid for them, they actually come wrapped in black velvet with gold writing on.
So I reckon they look excellent. They sound fantastic to me.
Thank you so much. They do. They are. They're lovely. But I'm more interested in getting my reimbursement for these trimmers, to be honest.
Right.
More because I'm so annoyed about it.
Yeah, well, I'm annoyed on your behalf, and Miles will be livid.
I will.
Let's see what we can do. Miles, I'm going to pass Sue back. Can we get some detail and go and have a word, please?
Of course we can.
Right. Sue, hang on there, please. Now, James is a leaseholder in a block of flats. In October of 2020, he woke up one night to the sound of dripping, and he found there was a leak in his storage cupboard, which is inside his property. Well, the council is the freeholder. They own the actual building, so he contacted them to explain the roof was leaking. About a month later, he said he had a note to say that it had been fixed and everything seemed okay. In March of this year, he noticed another leak, but this time it was worse. This time it was coming through the ceiling into his hallway. So, he contacted the council again. He explained that not only did they need to come and fix the leak, but also he would need to make an insurance claim for the damage to his property. In June, it was finally fixed. But then at the end of September, well, you guessed it, the leak came back.
I woke up one morning and there was a massive bubble in my ceiling again, and it was all full of water. This time when I called up, so this was on the 30th of September I called up, I put an official complaint in, and I said, this is the third time. I've got an 18-month-old child who's running around with a bucket of empty, disgusting water. It's slippery. It's just it's in the storage cupboard with all my fuse boxes. I said that's not safe at all. Dealing with the complaint side of it, I heard back last Friday, and that was after 11 working days. And I spoke to someone who said, yeah, I'll investigate it and I'll get back to you on Monday. No one's got back to me. That was this Monday just gone. No one's got back to me.
Well, James asked if I could help, and I've been doing my very best. But is it paying any dividends yet? Let's find out, because James is back on the JVS show. Hello, James.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hi. So, as you know, I went off to have a word with the council, Stevenage Borough Council. They came back with this response. They said, we're very sorry James has had ongoing issues with his roof in one of our properties. We sent an electrician and our contractor out to make sure it's safe and to complete any immediate fixes. We'll come back to that, because that is the crucial bit with all of this. We do have a claims team, which James used back in March. We did offer to settle his roof leak claim, but the offer wasn't taken up. Well, you said that's because by the time you were kind of getting round to making the claim, the leak was back, so there was no point. We were in contact with James again in August of 2021 with regards to the proposed major repairs, and then more recently concerning the affordability of the recharges due to him being a leaseholder owner. As evidenced by the roof leak, the short-term fixes just aren't resolving the problems, hence why the block needs a new roof. Along with other refurbishment works, we very much appreciate this is a major job. We've provided information that should be helpful to James, and we presented him with a potential payment option. At this time, the amount quoted is an estimate, and the final bill will be sent after the work has been completed in March 2022. They then went on in their response to address my query as to why there wasn't a sinking fund. They said that that's not particularly prevalent in the public sector. It's more prevalent in the private sector. And then they went on to offer some advice for you as a leaseholder in terms of if you do have concerns over the amount of money you're being asked to pay, you can get some independent advice. They then went on to say, once again, we're sorry this issue has been ongoing for some time. The works, which are due to be carried out in January 2022, will resolve the roof problem for the long term. Post-completion of the major refurbishment works, after that, it's envisaged the property value will increase. So in a nutshell, they were saying, we'll get someone round to do a temporary fix, but actually the roof needs replacing, but unfortunately it is going to be expensive, and unfortunately as a leaseholder, James is going to have to share his share of that. He's going to have to pay quite a lot of money, and I think it's over £20,000 they're telling you you're going to have to pay, isn't it?
23.5, yeah.
Ouch.
Yes.
Ouch indeed. Now, I know that particular issue is something that you're taking advice on, and you will wait and see what the bill is for. And I know you're in the process of selling the flat, so you're going to negotiate that with the new buyer of your flat anyway. But what is most concerning is the fact that, if I just go back to the beginning of their statement where they said they were sending an electrician and a contractor out to make sure it was safe and to complete any immediate fixes, you said, yeah, they sent an electrician out, but the roof was still leaking. So you can't wait until January, all through the winter, with water continuing to come in through the roof. I mean, the damage it could cause would be immense. Well, Stevenage Borough Council came back to me yesterday and said, good morning, JVS. Our contractor and roofer visited the property on Friday, and the cause of the leak was actually blocked outlets. These were unblocked, and the issue was resolved. The roof repair, which was done previously, was still intact. As I've said before, we hope the major renovations taking place in January will resolve any future issues for the long term. So they are now confident they have fixed your roof and it will not be leaking, certainly not for the foreseeable future anyway.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. So that's news. I mean, like I said, I've always believed it to have been the roof itself, because obviously the previous two times they've said, oh, we fixed the roof. They didn't say anything about the outlets.
Well, they're saying that the original fix that they had done still seems to be intact. Right. So that should be fine. And the reason the water was coming in was because of these blocked outlets that they've now unblocked. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know, on Sunday we had torrential rain in the morning. I presume you did over in your neck of the woods as well. Was any water coming in or not?
No, it was all right.
Good.
So that's good. Yeah, I was very worried. I was sitting there thinking, oh, God, here we go. But no, luckily enough, I checked both areas, and it seemed to have been okay, actually.
Yeah. Well, if it was going to come through, it certainly would have come through on Sunday, because it was absolutely, it was awful, the rain.
It was terrible. It was really bad.
Horrible.
God, the anxiety inside me when I heard that rain hitting the roof, I was thinking, oh, no, here we go. But no, it was okay, actually.
Well, do you know, I'm going to thank Stevenage Borough Council for getting this fixed. Hopefully it can give you some peace of mind now over the winter months. And good luck with selling your flat. Good luck with doing a deal with the new buyer in terms of who's going to end up absorbing the cost of the new roof. Please keep me posted. But shall I thank Stevenage Borough Council for getting things fixed to this stage?
I believe so, yes. Yeah, I believe so.
Great. OK, James, any other problems? You know where we are. Now, in June of 2017, Kay was refurbishing her property and decided to buy a new sofa system that was going to cost £2,500. Quite posh. Had reclining bits and bits that you can put drinks in, you name it. It wasn't just your standard sofa. Well, at the time of purchasing it, she was also offered an insurance policy that would cover the sofa for 5 years. She decided to go ahead with that. Within the first year, this sofa developed a fault. So Kay contacted the insurance company, who initially said they'd help, but to this day, it still hasn't been fixed.
One of the recliner chairs was unable to open up properly without the actual framing of the chair falling out. So when we had a little look underneath the actual chair itself, we noticed that there was a rip in the fabric, which is why there was an indent in the chair. Because of that, we tried to get in touch with our insurance side of the contract, and they did mention to us that they will be getting a staff member to get in touch with us and then hopefully chase things up with sorting that all out. Unfortunately, no callback was arranged. So we tried again to get in touch with them, and on about the fourth occasion of us getting in touch with them, that's when we were made aware that actually the insurance company that was taking care of the product and the insurances were now bankrupt.
Well, Kay has since discovered the sofa company that she purchased the furniture from in the first place has also gone into administration. So things aren't looking very good. But there is a glimmer of hope. Thank goodness, because Kay decided to buy this furniture on finance rather than paying cash for it, she is of course protected by the Consumer Credit Act. Now, many of you who listen to my programme on a regular basis will know quite a lot about the Consumer Credit Act because paying for things by credit card gives you the same protection. What it fundamentally means is that the credit provider, so in this case a finance provider, is jointly liable for the contract with the retailer. So if the retailer goes out of business, you can then go to the finance provider, so in some cases a credit card company, but in this case a furniture finance company, and you can say, the retailer's gone, I now want you to deal with this for me. And that's exactly what we've been trying to assist Kay with. She's back on the JVS show. Hello, Kay.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you, Kay. Now, I know Miles has been speaking to the finance company to try and get this all sorted out. And they were asking for some evidence, weren't they, that this furniture did indeed have a manufacturing defect rather than, Kay had broken her own furniture.
Yes, so they were helpful. They gave us some companies that we could use to get that report obtained, which Kay did. It was found that it was a manufacturing fault, so the finance company were organising a repair. Now, communication between Kay and the finance company had been quite difficult in the interim period between then and now. We had finally managed to organise Kay to have a call with the finance company to organise a date for repair, and I believe that call was meant to take place yesterday.
What have you heard, Kay?
So the phone call happened sometime last week. They confirmed that they will try and get in touch with us on Wednesday this week.
Right.
So, due to how busy that they are, a time frame wasn't confirmed. They said that the day before the actual repair day, they will send me a text to let me know exactly what time he will arrive.
Mm-hmm. So is that going to be on Wednesday or not?
I'm not too sure yet. We're on Tuesday right now, so I'm expecting a text from them today to confirm what time they'll be arriving tomorrow.
Right, but we are definitely expecting them tomorrow to turn up and to fix this sofa at long last.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed. I mean, this has just been going on forever, hasn't it? Well, let's just hope that it does work. And again, I mean, I just need to reiterate the point. If you'd paid for this furniture on a debit card, forget it. You'd have nowhere to go. If you'd paid for this furniture by cheque, forget it, you'd have nowhere to go. If you'd paid for this furniture by cash, forget it, you'd have nowhere to go. Your saving grace is the fact that because you bought it on finance, you're covered by the Consumer Credit Act. So what I'm saying to everyone listening to the programme, if you buy anything that costs over £100, always, always, always buy it on a form of credit. Either through a finance agreement or through a credit card. Preferably through a credit card, because you can pay the bill off the very next day and then there's no need to pay any interest or get yourself into any kind of debt whatsoever with it. But by paying by credit card, you really do protect yourself. And this, if people take one thing away from the programme today, let that be it. Pay by credit card. Anything that costs over £100. The Consumer Credit Act only covers you for purchases over £100, which is why I make that distinction. But always pay by credit. So hopefully, Kay, in future, you will always, always, always buy any expensive things on a credit card, yeah?
Yes, definitely will.
Right, well, look, let's find out what happens tomorrow. Kay, please keep us posted and we'll take it from there, OK? Ben came to me. He was telling me that he went to his local park with his family. Before leaving, he went to pay for his parking. He's been to this car park many times, so he knows how the system works. But on this particular occasion, things seem to have gone very wrong.
It takes your registration as you enter in, and then you type it into the machine once you're finished, and it gives you the time that you entered and the time that you're leaving. So, thought nothing of it, carried on, and then I got a letter through the post saying that you owe us money, you haven't paid enough. So I contacted the company,
And I said, well, I have paid. They were questioning that I've done it all wrong. So I decided to go back up to the car park and test it out because I wanted to know if I was right or in the wrong. I went and tested it, and I was right. Went to the machine, typed my registration in after the visit to the park again, and it told me the time of entry and the time that I was exiting.
So Ben really feels as if obviously their system has had some kind of problem on that particular day. He's paid what the system asked him to pay, and it's completely unacceptable that they're now asking him to pay more. But the parking company, when he approached them, said, no, we stand by this. You need to pay us this amount of money. Well, Ben was very unhappy. We've been looking into it. We've been off to have a word with the parking company. Ben's back on the JVS show. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Jonathan.
Good morning. Now, Miles has had a conversation with this company. What's going on? What is their response, Miles?
So the response from the company is they've said that in this case Ben was on site for an hour and 54 minutes from 9:05 in the evening to 7:03. However, only a payment of 50p was made for a 30-minute stay at 6:55. The payment
hang on a second. Hang on a second. Just go back a bit. What time are they saying he arrived?
They're saying that he arrived at 5:09.
9 minutes past 5 in the evening.
Yes, and he left at 7:03.
3 minutes past 7. Does that sound right, Ben, in terms of the time?
Yes, it does, yes.
Right. Okay.
They're saying that a 50p payment was made for a 30-minute stay at 6:55. So after that, get in the car and leave would be the 4 minutes. The payment was selected to cover a period of 2 minutes to 7 to 29 minutes past 7 in the evening. So paying on exit, that doesn't make much sense straight away.
Hang on a sec. Well, that sounds like it's a pay and display car park where you would pay before you park, or as you park your car, you then go and pay, display the ticket, and you have paid for a period of time in the car park.
Yes, that's what it would lead me to believe, but they've gone on to explain the concept of the car park. It's designed as a pay-before-you-exit facility, which is what we were led to believe. That way, no one should ever receive a fixed charge, assuming accurate information and data is entered into the system when required. In most part, the system is intelligent and will look to automatically detect the visit. However, if someone entered a registration incorrectly initially, or if the system requires the VRM to be entered, then the user must manually enter their information. Tariff board apparently is displayed next to the pay station, and in some cases, if the VRM is incorrectly entered, the system will give the user the ability to enter their VRM manually, so payment can be made.
Right. I mean, it's like a word salad, that response, to be honest with you. Let's just try and break it down then. So are they saying that the system most of the time works with number plate recognition? So you drive your car in, it recognises your car number plate, recognises the time you've arrived, and then when you go to exit, you put your number plate in, it says you've been here for 2 hours, you owe us this amount of money, you pay the money, job done.
That's the theory.
That's how it should work.
That's how
but are they saying that on some occasions it might not pick up the number plate when you've entered, so the system then shows a slightly different screen where it asks you to input how long you've been there?
Yeah, so it might ask you to input it might ask you again, say your number plate hasn't been registered. Some cars and motorcycles might not have a front number plate, so you'd have to enter. So they'd be like, well, we haven't registered that car coming into the...
Yeah, or you might be too close to the car in front as you're driving in, so the camera doesn't get a clear shot of your number plate.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And at that point, they will ask you to enter the time that you entered the facility.
Fine. But what I don't understand is even if the system did work like that, then if it hadn't recognised Ben's number plate when they first drove in, then they wouldn't have any knowledge of what time he'd entered the car park anyway, so they wouldn't know that he'd overstayed.
No, the 50p wouldn't have been charged. It would have just asked for the entry time, which I'm guessing they're saying has been entered wrong.
When you put the number plate in on the day, did it ask you to confirm the start time when you'd first entered the car park?
No, it didn't.
Definitely didn't?
Definitely didn't. I've been there twice since, and it tells you on the screen exactly what time you entered, exactly what time you leave it. So, yeah, I'm a bit bewildered as to why they're saying that I owe them money. Completely get the fact with what you say. With what you said just a minute ago, makes complete sense to about. They realise what time I entered into the car park through the ANPR camera. So why are they now charging me 50p? And then saying that you entered earlier. So it's obviously picked up the time that I entered in.
Yeah, because 50p would not have covered that amount of time that you were there.
But what they've said is that the charge almost started when you entered your information in at the time, because they've said that you've paid from a minute before you were supposedly paid to half an hour later. That's the time period they're saying you've paid for.
Well, so what?
You're saying if it's not registered the car when it's come in, I don't know how this works, but that's what they're saying.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, there are two completely different systems of parking payment. One is pay and display. You drive your car into the car park, you go over, you put into the machine that you intend to stay in that car park for example, an hour. You pay for an hour's parking, you get a ticket that shows what time you can leave your car in that car park until you stick the ticket on the dashboard and you go off and you use the car park. If you then overstay, tough, you get a fine. If, however, you're driving into a car park that works on a number plate recognition system, so it automatically it checks what time you've entered the car park, and then you have to put your number plate in and then pay for whatever time you've used. If their system then incorrectly works it out, as far as I'm concerned, that is their problem. Are you absolutely sure, Ben, that you definitely put the correct number plate into the machine?
Yeah, 100%, yeah, because I could see my number plate from the machine. It's quite a new car that we got, but yeah, I definitely put the correct number plate in. It even says it on the ticket. So, and if you put the incorrect number plate in, when it's an O, not a 0 on the end of my number plate, it doesn't even recognise a car.
Right.
Online. So I've checked it all.
So they're not backing down. They still, and I'm completely confused, to be honest, by their justification. It just doesn't seem to make much sense. Which, in terms of your position, I think is helpful, Ben, because as I explained to you at the time, this is a private parking company. They're not a local authority, so they have no jurisdiction to fine you. You know, it's not like a local authority where they have powers. This is a private company. The only thing they can do is to take you to court. Now, as far as I'm concerned, unless I'm missing something, if they take you to court and they come up with this kind of explanation to the judge, they're going to lose because it doesn't make any sense.
No, why would you have a car park with two different ways of paying?
But even if I understand the point that maybe in some cases the ANPR camera hasn't picked up your number plate when you enter. So at that point, when you put your number plate into the system when you're getting ready to go, it would say, "Oh, we don't recognise this number plate. What time did you enter the car park?" And there you then need to put, I don't know, I entered it at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then it works out how much you pay. Fine. But they're not actually going to know if you're not telling the truth, are they? Because they wouldn't have any record of when you'd driven your car in the first place.
Exactly. To me, it seems like a scam.
Well, I don't know whether it's a scam. It just seems as if the system is confused, and they, rather than recognising that it seems to have made a mistake, they're kind of, you know, they're just bedding down in this, and they're not prepared to back down whatsoever. And from the response they've given us, they seem to know the time that you'd entered the car park anyway, because they've said, what time was it? 5 o'clock in the evening, Miles, did you say?
Yeah, they said that he entered at it was at 9 minutes past 5, yeah, so just before 10 past 5.
Right. So if they know what time he entered the car park, and then he put his number plate in, and the machine worked out that he owed 50p, well, then it's this machine's fault.
Yeah.
You know, the machine didn't charge you properly. That's not your fault. Can we go back to this company? And can we just say that I'm now at a point where I'd like to identify them on the programme, because I want to know if other people have been affected by this, because it doesn't make any sense to me. This explanation from them doesn't make any sense. So can we just put them on notice, and maybe somebody would like to come on the programme and explain to Ben and everyone else listening how their system works? I think that's
absolutely
the best way. Right. Okay, Ben, listen, we're going to take this further. Leave it with us. We'll go and have a word. Teresa's on the line. Hello, Teresa.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Teresa. I gather you have a consumer problem. Tell me all about it without naming any company names, please.
Yeah, we booked a hotel to go to Lanzarote. Unfortunately, it got cancelled due to the COVID. We tried to get our money back through our credit card. We phoned the company on the 18th.
Right, I'll tell you what, Teresa, sorry to interrupt your flow, but can I go back and just ask you to fill in one or two gaps? So you say you booked a hotel. Was this just a hotel, or did you book a holiday to Lanzarote?
It was a holiday, but we booked our flights separate because a friend of ours' daughter worked for the company and she got the flights cheaper.
Oh, right. So this wasn't a package, this was individual component parts?
Yes.
Right. Are you aware that when you buy a holiday as a package, you get much more protection?
No.
Right. Well, you are now. And the simple fact is, if you buy a package holiday, which consists of two fundamental component parts, so in this case it would have been flights and the hotel, if you book a package, you're covered by package holiday regulations, which give you lots more protection in terms of if, for example, there was a problem with the flights, then the holiday company is duty-bound to reorganise everything for you, including the hotel. If you book individual component parts, and if something doesn't work out, then you may well find that you'll either lose all the money for your hotel or lose all the money for your flight. So it's much more risky. But anyway, let's go back then to the way that you booked this holiday. So you booked your flights and you booked your hotel separately, and then COVID struck.
Yeah, and the flights were cancelled. So then on the 18th, we phoned the travel company, spoke to a lady. I could just about understand what she was saying and things like this.
Why, was the phone line bad?
No, she was of ethnic. I could not really understand what she was saying.
Oh, right.
It was very, very hard. I was on the phone for an hour and a half to this lady.
She had quite a strong accent.
Yes.
Okay.
So, to my, we thought it'd been cancelled. She said someone would bring us back in 24 hours. Nothing. We didn't get anything. And then on the 21st, the holiday company then took the remaining balance out of my husband's bank account.
What, for the hotel?
Yeah, for the hotel.
So how much did they take?
Sorry, Jonathan. £697.
£697.
Yeah.
Okay.
We paid.
When was? Sorry to interrupt you. When was this? When were you due to be going on the holiday?
25th of June.
25th of June, 2021.
Yeah.
Right. And was Lanzarote open to tourists?
I don't. Boris said it was only essential travel only.
That was back in June. You'll have to forgive me. I've done so many phone-ins on travel, I lose track of when the borders have been open and closed. So on the 25th of June 2021, the government's position was you are not allowed to go on holiday to Lanzarote unless it is essential.
Yep.
Right, okay. And this, of course, wasn't essential.
No. The thing is, I was put on the shielded list as well.
Right. But in terms of the company that you'd booked the accommodation through, is this a British company?
Yes, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you'd booked, for example, if you'd booked the hotel and if Lanzarote was indeed open for tourism, albeit not to us, and if you couldn't go on that holiday, I mean, it may well be that the hotel would not have to cancel the booking at all. So it all depends on the way this was booked. And this is why, you know, I've been saying for 2 years now, to protect yourself, you need to book as a package, because that way you've got the added protection. So this company decided just to take the full amount for the hotel anyway.
Yep.
Okay. And what was their justification?
I just can't get through to them, Jonathan. When after this happened, I kept phoning, speaking to. I wanted to speak to a supervisor. I was just constantly put on hold all the time.
Right.
And then,
what has your travel insurance had to say about it?
We've not contacted travel insurance. We've tried to go through my husband's credit card.
Okay. What is the credit card company had to say?
They're not paying out because the government didn't cancel the holiday.
Right. Well, this is my slight concern, and we'll need to have a look at the dates. If you could indeed have had that holiday, but the airline cancelled the flights, but you could still have had that holiday in that hotel, then it may well be that you are not entitled to your money back.
Right.
That's the blunt truth of it. However, you may well be able to still make a claim on your travel insurance.
Right.
So that may well be the best option. But I think what we need to do at this stage, I think we need to have a look at the dates. We need to see what the official advice was at that time.
Right.
We need to find out what the company that you booked the accommodation through has to say for themselves. And let's take it from there. But in future, Teresa, please make sure, if you're going to book holidays, make sure you always book a package.
Jonathan, we've always booked a package holiday. I didn't want my husband to book with this company.
Oh dear. Well, I don't want to open up any marital wounds here. So let's move on quickly. I'll pass you back to Miles. We'll get some detail. We'll go and have a word for you and see what we can do. Okay.
All right, then. Thank you, Jonathan.
Hang on there, please. Anderson ordered a back door. Sorry, this wasn't a back door, actually. I think it was a front door. He was expecting it to be delivered in August, but, well, it hasn't turned up.
On the delivery day, the door didn't turn up. And then we contacted the shop. They postponed us again for the 6th of September. Same thing happened. Then they postponed us to the 27th of September. Another situation. They never got back to us, even though we called them a few days before. And then we were again postponed for 11th of October, and now we are down. The last time was supposed to be a delivery, was on the 25th of October. All these times, we had to sit at home and wait, and no one turned up and don't say anything. I started to guess that this door will never come at all.
Yes, well, Anderson asked if I could go and have a word with the company. He doesn't really want to cancel the order because he does want the door, but he's just absolutely fed up of the door never arriving. Well, I contacted the company on his behalf. He's back on the JVS show. Hello, Anderson.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, Anderson. Just to confirm, it is a front door, isn't it? My understanding was it was your front door, not your back door.
It is a front door, yeah,
Good.
with two
Okay.
side panels.
Phew. Well, I'm pleased about that because that's what I've been describing to the company. Now, when I had a conversation with the company, I spoke to a very nice lady there, actually, who she tapped away on her system while I was on the phone to find out what was going on. And she said, I can see what the problem is. She said, the problem seems to be the glazing panels. The glazing panels have been the reason for the delay. The first glazing panels that arrived were the wrong size, so they couldn't put them into the door and into the side panels. Then we reordered the glazing panels, and the second lot that turned up came broken, so we couldn't use those either. And we've had to order the glazing panels again. This is very frustrating for the customer. We accept that. But she said it's a bit out of our hand, really, because our supplier who makes the glazing panels just keeps sending us either damaged ones or the wrong ones. I said, well, how long is Anderson going to have to wait? Because he is frustrated. He keeps having to wait around when these doors when the door is supposed to arrive. So she tapped away again. She said, right, she said, we are expecting the parts, the glazing panels to turn up with us on Friday. She said, we are therefore very confident that as long as those glazing panels turn up undamaged and correct, we should be able to get the door out to Anderson. We'll make it a priority to get the door out to him at the beginning of next week, but we'll obviously contact him. Well, Anderson, I gather, they've tried to deliver your door. What's happened from your end?
Well, the disappointing thing in all of this is that I never knew what was happening because I ordered from a shop which ordered from the manufacturer, and the communication between them was terrible, and they never told us what was happening. So, by surprise, yesterday I was at work when I received a phone call saying I'm at your door to deliver your doors. I was like, well, but I didn't know they were coming, and there was no one home.
Yeah.
So they have decided to leave the doors outside. I have a side gate, so he put it through, kindly put through. And I have checked the order today. It is the products I ordered. And what you just said, it matches because on the side panels, there is a sticker saying remade because of manufacturer error. So it is true that apparently that there was problems with side panels.
Yeah.
But the disappointing thing is they never tell us anything. And the shop that I actually paid the doors for, they either didn't have the information from the manufacturer or they didn't care asking. And I did not have the manufacturer's details until very recent when I actually on the day I spoke with you last time was the first time I noticed on the last email the shop sent to me, they did send the manufacturer's details. So with the order number, which I could have contacted them, but you were already doing, so I say, you know what, I'll step back and see, because Jonathan might be luckier than me.
Well, and it would appear I have been, because you've now got your door. Have you measured it all to make sure that it's all okay?
That's the thing. I have the fitter coming to fit it, and that's going to be, on the papers, it does seem to be the right sizes and everything else, and I do hope there is no mistakes with it. The colors are right because it's different colors outside and inside.
Yeah.
And it seems, another thing that I'm presently surprised is that when you mentioned on the other day that if the door was not filled up with foam, it does seem to be a hardcore. It does seem to be timber, as I can see from the lock hole. So
well, that's good. And I would certainly just reiterate that advice. And when I looked on the manufacturer's website, they do both doors with a solid core to them and doors with a foam core. So I was a bit worried.
Jonathan,
I was a bit worried as to which one you'd ordered.
But when you're ordering, I did read on that. After you mentioned the foam situation, I went to their website, and on the shop they do not offer any upgrade option. And on the manufacturer website, they do mention they have the solid door as an upgrade.
Yeah.
But if you actually go to their website and try to order it, you can't have an upgrade added on. So I guess they're probably doing as a standard the solid core now.
Well, that would be good.
My order, it says high security doors. I was only expecting.
Yeah,
to
but
have a
listen, don't ever buy all the marketing that goes with some of these composite doors. They're all described as high security. What that generally means is the locking system. It doesn't necessarily mean that the door is a solid core door. And my advice for everybody listening to the program, and the reason I bang on about this and become a complete door bore, is because I did loads of research when I replaced my own front door, and I quickly realised that there are loads and loads of composite front doors on the market that are literally filled with foam. And as I mentioned to you last time on the programme, they may well be excellent at keeping the drafts out. They may well be excellent at keeping the noise out, but they're not necessarily excellent at keeping burglars out. And if you're anything like me, you want a front door that is burglar-proof. And, you know, if you buy a composite door that has a solid timber or metal interior, it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to break their way through that. So, listen, Anderson, you've got the door. The measurements are right. It's solid core. You're a happy bunny, I presume, are you?
Yes, I am. We did not need all this frustration. If there was communication, I guess they need to improve on that. And I appreciate there is mistakes and manufacturers and things get broken on the way. But, you know, communication is the key here. If they had told us what's happening, it would be easier for us, really.
Do I give them the horn, though? I think so.
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
All right. Okay. Well, I will thank them very much indeed for getting it sorted out. It is frustrating it took so long, but we got there in the end. Thank you very much indeed for that company. Now, Ian wanted to treat himself to some new luxury custom-made car mats for his vehicle. He saw an advert on social media for some that looked good and seemed to be from a UK-based company, so, well, he put in an order.
They arrived in a very tatty cardboard box. I also noticed they'd come from Beijing, which was a shock. Put them in the car next day. They looked all right. I'll be perfectly honest, they certainly didn't fit everywhere. I had to buy some industrial strength carpet Velcro to get them to stay down in certain places because they stick up. About 3 months later, I was washing and hoovering the car out, and I noticed that the carpet was holed. It had wore out.
Well, Ian contacted the company to make a complaint, but when he came to me, he wasn't getting anywhere. So I went off to have a word with them. Ian's back on the JVS show. Hello, Ian.
Oh, hi, yeah. Good afternoon, Jonathan.
Good afternoon. So this is Diamond Car Mats.
It is indeed.
To be precise, so they're diamondcarmats.com, and they describe themselves as Diamond Premium Leather Car Mats.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if are they leather? They don't look
I
leather.
don't think they are, no.
They don't look leather.
No, they look more like PVC. I think they're PVC, I've been told.
Now, to cut a very long story short, as you know, I contacted the company. It took ages before they finally agreed that if you sent back the damaged car mat, the one that was all falling apart, they would replace it for you. They did that. When you and I last spoke, you said, well, they have replaced it. But to be honest, the replacement is now falling apart itself.
Yep.
The heel pad that you put your heel on under the pedals, that's all coming away. It's just very poor quality. And you'd spent a lot of money on these car mats, hadn't you?
Yes.
Over 160 quid or so
Yeah,
on them. So
165, I think.
you really felt that they were not a very good quality. And you and I had a conversation last, and you said, look, really, I'd like to return them and have my money back, because I just don't think they're very good car mats. I went back and put that to Diamond Car Mats, as you know, because I copied you in on my email.
Yeah.
They've come back with this response. Jonathan, the replacement that has been delivered to the customer was in good condition and fit for purpose. Based on the picture provided, we can only assume the mat in question, in fact, is the first one that had been delivered. If the customer is unhappy with his custom mats, he can return the original product and any replacements that have been delivered to us for a refund. The address is as follows, and they have provided their address in the UK rather than the address in China, which is where you had to send them to before.
Yep.
He is responsible for any and all costs associated with the return of the product and for any damage that occurs while the product that you are returning is in transit. We will refund the amount you paid for the returned product, but please note that we cannot give you a refund before the returned product is delivered back to us. The amount will be credited to the account you originally used to purchase the product. Kind regards, Diamond Car Mats. So they seem to be suggesting that if you send them back at your cost, they will then refund.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it would not be acceptable for them to expect you to pay for the sending cost if the product is indeed faulty. If the product is faulty, if the product is not of reasonable quality, then they should cover that cost as well. And that's something that I'm more than happy to go and put to them. But firstly, I just wanted to make sure, are you happy to send those back to the address in the UK in order to get a refund?
If it comes to it, we've got them on one thing, Jonathan, which as soon as I said it made me laugh. If you look at the original photos of the original mat that I was complaining about, you will see there is a dirty great hole in it. This one hasn't got a hole in it, which proves that this is the new mat.
Well, I didn't disbelieve you, to be honest. I'm not quite sure where they came up.
For them, I'm thinking sort of thing, so that what they're trying to say, the original mat, as you see, when we photographed it, sent it in, it's got a hole in it. I sent a picture of it, and this brand new mat, as you can see, there is no hole. I couldn't obviously cover that up. As you can see, there's no hole in this mat, so they can see it is a replacement mat.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, they seem to be agreeing that they will give you the money back, but I do think you're going to have to be extremely careful to make sure that you take lots of photographs of the mats before you actually put them in a package, and you need to make sure that however they are sent, they are fully insured.
Yep.
Because I am concerned that the way they have framed their response, it puts them in a very strong position then to suggest that they've been damaged in transit and therefore you are responsible for the damage.
Plus also, as you know, Jonathan, the other 3 mats will be used mats. So are they going to complain about that as well at the end of the day?
Well, they may well be used, but they've been used in a perfectly reasonable way. They haven't been damaged. You haven't been rough with them. You want to return the goods because ultimately you believe the goods are not of good quality. Now, let me just briefly talk to you about my slight concern. And yes, I'm aware I'm late for the news, but I must conclude this story properly. My concern is if you return the item to Diamond Car Mats, if they suddenly say, well, we don't believe that we need to give you a refund because of this reason, is there a potential that you'll be left with nothing?
Yes.
That is, just talking aloud, that is my concern, which is why I wanted to just put to you the offer that's on the table before we decide how to proceed.
Right, okay.
Okay. I would suggest you have a think about it.
Yep.
Drop me a line later. Let me know what you want me to do, and I will follow your instructions in terms of if you do want to take that chance and return them to try and get a refund.
Okay. All right, brilliant. Thank you, Jonathan.
And the response from diamondcarmats.com has been a bit peculiar, to be honest, throughout all of this. But that's the offer they now say is on the table. We will follow the case with great interest.
I bought some walking boots back at the beginning of the year, and they seemed okay, walked in them. And then after a few months, I had wet feet. So I sent them back. It was an online store, and they replaced them. So I had another pair exactly the same. And then the first time I walked through long, wet grass, as I walked up the road, I thought, I've got wet feet again. And so I sent them back, and they just said, there's no manufacturing defect, and that was it, basically. They just decided there was nothing wrong with them and I should just keep them.
Can you describe the boots to us? What do they look like?
They're proper waterproof walking boots that come up to the ankle, so in theory, water can't go down inside unless you immerse them completely. They're leather and they have that membrane on them that stops water getting in. But they're a good, reputable make that I thought, would last forever, really.
And when did you buy the first pair?
I think it was January this year, but I can't remember if it was just before Christmas or just after, but it was around there.
And when did you get the second pair?
In May.
In May. And walking around with them, I mean, no one wants to have shoes with holes in them. What was it like sort of walking around with them?
Well, it was really strange because they're really comfortable. They were a lovely pair of boots, but you suddenly feel that your toes are sort of got extra bits in there that just squelch together, and it's, walking boots, you should be able to walk through any conditions, I think.
Yeah, no, of course. And how long would you wear them on average on a particular day?
Well, to be honest, I'm not the greatest walker in the world, and I only really walk properly once a week. Occasionally I do go out in the week, especially, with work not happening very much at all. So I would just sort of walk for about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours maximum, possibly once a week.
Yeah, I mean, even wearing something like that for 2 to 3 hours, I mean, it does, any moment having a hole, it can be a bit tedious. I wanted to find out from you, were they advertised as being waterproof?
Yes, they were, and I still got the original box, and I checked that it says waterproof on it.
And did the company, did they give you a reason as to why they weren't able to help you this time?
They have. They've said they've had excessive wear.
Excessive wear, and I forgot to ask you about the cost as well. How much are they?
I bought them because they were half price, so they were £90 reduced down to about £45.
And in terms of the terrain, what kind of terrain do you walk on?
It's all around Milton Keynes, so
Okay.
It's sort of sandy, grassy, roads, wooded areas. Not anything too awful.
What would you like this company to do for you?
Well, they were really helpful with the first problem. They just replaced them and paid my postage back. They were lovely. And this time, they were just very dismissive and they don't want to hear about it again.
Okay.
So I'd like my money back, really.
Let's bring Miles in and see what we can do to help you. Miles?
Yes.
What do you think about this case?
So what we'll do is we will reach out to the retailer. Explain to them what you've just told us, Jane. Remind them of the Consumer Rights Act, that all goods purchased should last a fair and reasonable amount of time and should be fit for purpose, and give them a chance to respond to us and see what they're willing to do to resolve this situation.
Is that
I did. Yes, no, it is. I did a little test to see how they leaked. So I basically walked along, they were all dry. I went through a puddle and I could feel immediately that I had a wet foot, and it comes in off the seam.
Right.
So they just dismiss that as excessive wear.
And also, we'll ask them why they were prepared to help the first time, just to get an idea, because it just seems a bit strange. First time and the second time, and they're not prepared to kind of give way on this.
No, it is strange. They were lovely the first time, and not the second.
Miles. So what's the plan? What's the plan of action?
Just quickly, Jane, did they acknowledge there was a problem the first time, or did they just replace the shoes without really questioning anything?
I actually wonder. I haven't read back that, but I think they just replaced them because I just asked for a replacement. I don't think this time they've been sent to the warehouse to be tested and checked by their people that check them, and they say it's just excessive wear and there's no manufacturing defect. But I didn't get the impression they did that last time.
Jane, I'm going to pass you back onto the team. We'll do our best. Lou purchased a shiplap shed almost 3 years ago and used a team provided by the retailer to install it. It's 12 by 8 feet, and it basically cost her over £1,000, and she was expecting it to last.
I hadn't used the shed over the winter, and when I opened it up in spring, everything was just covered in mildew and damp, and it just smelled awful, that awful smell. And I also noticed that 2 of the shed boards had just broken, had just snapped. So I emailed the retailer. That was actually in April 2021, so that the shed wasn't actually 3 years old yet. I felt it wasn't fit for purpose because it hadn't kept the items in there dry, hadn't lasted a reasonable time, and therefore wasn't of reasonable quality because it was all coming in, damp was coming in through the windows and the floorboards had all broken. And they came back and they said, no one else has had this issue with their shed. They then came back and said, but their policy is 6 months that I have to complain.
Jonathan's been looking into this case, but sadly Jonathan is not here this morning. Wish him better. He's a bit poorly. Fingers crossed he'll be back with us tomorrow. And we're hoping to catch up with Lou, but Miles has got more on this case. And Miles, what can you tell us?
Right, so as we know, Lou has a little bit more protection by consumer law when it comes to this case. Consumer Rights Act states that anything you purchase must be fit for purpose and of reasonable quality, and it must last for a reasonable amount of time. So Jonathan went to the retailer, which are B&Q in this instance. After some back and forth, they did agree they were going to pull out all of the stops to solve this problem for Lou. Initially, they were going to send someone out to assess what the problem was. When they did that, they said that, okay, they were going to build a new shed for her and take the existing shed down. What they did say, though, was that the shed needed a concrete base, and Lou would have to provide this concrete base. Lou wasn't very happy with that because she hadn't originally been told that the sheds would need a concrete base, and that if she'd have bought one 3 years ago, materials would have been considerably cheaper than they are now. So Jonathan went back to B&Q and they said they would assist Lou with the concrete base and said they would also provide storage for Lou's possessions, which was all excellent. So they really were pulling out all the stops. We spoke to Lou on Monday. The concrete base had been laid. Lou described it as, these are Lou's words, a thing of beauty. And there was actually, whilst we were speaking to Lou, there was a man at her house putting up the shed. So hopefully Lou will have a shed in her garden.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that needs to horn.
Lou's, we've got Lou on the line now as well. Lou. So Lou, have you got your shed? Are you in your shed?
Hey, listen. Can you hear how quiet it is?
Yeah.
Very quiet, Lou.
Do you know why it's quiet?
Why is it quiet?
Because I'm in the shed.
Oh, excellent.
That's brilliant. Lou, I mean, the whole thing, just bringing it to our attention and going through that, I mean, how are you feeling now?
Oh, Ed, I'm just thrilled because it's been a bit of a palaver. It wasn't just a shed. It was a sequence of events and, quite a lot of inconvenience for us, X, Y, and Z. And just JBS and 3CR being involved has just got B&Q involved to have ironed out all those problems along the way.
Yeah.
I've got a fantastic new shed that should last now for the amount of time that it's due to last. That should be watertight. The thing is that they did a terrible job when it was originally constructed. Like the windows were put in upside down and the floor wasn't put in properly. And it was just great. When it was assembled on Monday, there were two men here. They fitted it perfectly. Whereas the first time round it was fitted, it was one man that turned up on his own at 10 o'clock at night when it was dark, so we couldn't see what he was doing.
And probably not the best time to be doing that at 10 o'clock at night.
It's a big shed as well. It's 8 by 12. So I sort of looked at one man thinking, how are you going to put that up on your own? So it's been the second time round now. It's been the experience that it should have been, and I'm absolutely thrilled. And I'll obviously contact B&Q as well to say thank you.
So we have to say a big thank you to B&Q for doing that and rectifying it for you. And so no more problems. So you can just relax. You can relax in the shed.
And everything's come back from storage today. That was the last bit. That all went seamlessly. That turned up. So I quite enjoyed the shed when it was empty, I have to say, and now there's boxes of stuff.
No, when everything comes, when you get everything from storage, you're not going to be pleased. But on the whole, are you happy now?
I'm absolutely thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. I can't tell you. It's been a big headache, and it's all just been resolved. So thank you.
Back in February, Gary ordered a sofa costing £5,000. In June, it was delivered, but Gary noticed a couple of problems. One of the panels wasn't lined up correctly, and there was also a broken rivet. The company sent someone out to try and fix it, but Gary's not happy.
They sent two engineers out, basically to have an assess the problem. They turned around to the wife and said, I know, how about if we put a bolt through the hole, to the wife? And she said, no, in a nutshell, because it's brand new, why would we want a bolt replacing a rivet? There's supposed to be. So then they said, okay, it's a new whole mechanism. And they took a picture of the oversized panel as well. I kept on chasing, and finally they did come out to replace the mechanism. When they did, there is a big zip panel at the bottom to get to all the screws on the panel, and which they'd undone most of the screws, and one screw, it meant they would have had to go to their van and get a little hand screwdriver just to get in there. Instead of doing that, they just put their battery drill straight through the bottom of the dust panel, causing the hole to undo the screw.
Gary is back with us this morning. Morning, Gary.
Morning, Ed.
Let's find out the latest on this. Miles, what's happened? What's been going on?
So, to bring you up to speed with what's happened so far, originally we contacted the company and outlined Gary's issues and asked them what they could do to resolve his complaint. They got back in touch with us to say that they'd spoken to Gary. The outcome of the conversation was that they'd agreed a way forward. They were going to replace the dust cloth on the underside of the furniture, which had been drilled through. They also agreed to make an adjustment to the panel so that it could better meet the customer's expectations. Gary, at this point, they said was happy with the outcome. When we did speak to Gary, he just said to us that he was slightly worried about whether they'd be able to actually line the panels up properly to make it look like the sofa wasn't wonky. At which point we contacted the company again just to ask them if they could confirm that this adjustment would be able to take place and it could be fixed. They told us that after they'd spoken with the technician, they were confident that it'll have a satisfactory outcome. That sort of brings us to now. We were just waiting for a date that this work could take place, and hopefully Gary now has a date for us.
Gary, is that the case?
Yep, apparently they're coming out tomorrow sometime and have a look and see if they can do it.
If they can. So is it likely to happen?
They're definitely coming out, but it was the engineers that phoned up.
Sure.
And they've never actually done this type of work before, so they're not that confident.
Well, fingers crossed they can do it. And hopefully you can get this finally resolved.
I'm hoping so.
You keep us in the loop on how you get how and what happens, Gary. Will you do that?
I will indeed.
Brilliant. Gary, keep us in the loop. Thank you very much. Good to catch up with you this morning. Miles, you'll be across this, won't you?
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to talk to Gary on Friday after they visited tomorrow, and let's just keep our fingers crossed and give them the benefit of the doubt for now that they can make this adjustment. Let's be positive.
I gather you've got a consumer problem. Would you like to take us back, start from the beginning? But let me give you the heads up. Please don't name any companies or brands.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, a bit of a long story, so bear with me. We moved house in January this year. And when we moved, we changed over the water supply with the water company. And while we were on the phone, they offered us a plumbing and drainage plus policy provided by a home emergency company, which we took out, and that's relevant a bit later on. During the summer, we noticed a damp patch on the floor in our garage, which is next to the downstairs toilet, so that the same wall is shared. And we'd also noticed some puddles of water on the floor in the toilet. So we called the insurer to see what we should do, and they informed us that we had home emergency cover as part of our policy. And this was like a separate add-on, and it was separate also to this other policy that we'd taken out. So we thought that's fine. And we were put through to that company, and they quite helpfully sent out a leak detection team to review what was going on. But we never actually received that report at the time. And subsequently, believe it or not, we've had, over about 3 months, 16 separate visits from plumbers and drainage surveyors trying to get to the bottom of the issue. And the problem we've had is that every time someone comes out to try and sort it, they don't have any previous knowledge of what the problem is. And so I just spend 20 minutes explaining exactly what the issue is. And consequently, every time they turn up, they don't really know what to do. They don't know what's gone on before. And we just start over and over again.
How bad is sorry to interrupt, how bad is the leak?
So the leak is fairly bad. I mean, there's always puddles of water on the downstairs toilet floor. When you go into the garage, sort of next door, there's just a constant puddle on the floor. And although we don't use the garage for anything other than storage, it's obviously not good, and we're worried about what's actually going on under the ground. The problem we had is that after 3 months, we spoke to the home emergency company, and they actually said, you've had so many call-outs now that you've reached £1,000 limit on your cover, which is part of the policy. And at that point, they basically said, you're no longer covered, we're not interested anymore, sorry. So I made a complaint, and they said, well, you actually have another policy, this Drainage Plus policy, perhaps you can claim on that. And I said, well, okay, that's something we can do. As we were taking that forward, they then called me up a couple of days later and said, actually, we've looked at the legalities of this, and you cannot claim under 2 policies for the same thing. So at that point, we felt that we were pretty much uninsured. So the problem we've got is that we've still got the leak. We've now got quite a strong smell of sewage in that toilet area, and we're worried about damage to tiles and all the rest of it under the floor. We've also had the radiator that's in that room that's been recently replaced. That's now started to rust, so there's effectively a knock-on situation with damage. And we just don't really know where to go on this. We need HomeServe to step up. We need the home emergency cover to step up and actually to start dealing with this properly and get it resolved.
Ben, you mentioned the paperwork and the company not having much details or record of your correspondence or your calls out to them. Did you ask them? Do you ask them if they had a record of some degree as to what you said to them and noted the issues that you have?
Yeah, so I've been dealing with a complaints handler the last couple of weeks, and they have acknowledged the amount of call-outs. I actually asked for a copy of the leak report, which they sent me, and that to me explained what the problem was, because it highlighted that there was a problem with the soil pipes from our toilets up on the first floor. But I've never seen anybody actually look at those. It's just a case of replacing bits of pipework in the toilet. So ultimately they are aware and they are looking into it. In actual fact, since I agreed to come on this show, they've messaged me this morning and said that they will look into it further and that they can see the frustration, and promised to actually look into it a bit further. But the concern we have is that we've actually only got 2 weeks left on this policy. So I can sort of see a situation where they try and withdraw support again. And then there's also this problem around, we think that there's been some damage done now, and we would want that to be dealt with as well, because this has been going on for months.
Ben, going to pass you over to Miles, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of this. Miles?
Yes. So we will contact the company immediately. Ben, you did name the company there, so we're going to have to get onto this straight away just to tell them what's happened. We'll put your queries to them as well and see if we can get to the bottom of this straight away.
Nicole absolutely loves going to British Columbia because of the orcas, humpbacks and wildlife. She'd been going every year for 6 years and had decided it was the perfect place to get married to her fiancé. They've both been married before and wanted something memorable. They'd been planning their wedding with the help of Larry, the owner of the kayaking company, who arranged for the couple to be ordained in a local tribe. But because none of her family and friends could make it, Nicola and her fiancé decided to have a celebration back at home as well. They found the venue in the UK they liked and booked it for October 2020. However, COVID struck, and with the borders closed in Canada, it became apparent that Nicole's dream wedding couldn't go ahead. She contacted the venue in the UK to see if she could get a refund of her £450 deposit. It took some time for the venue to get back to her, but eventually they did and said Nicole couldn't have her money back, but she could reschedule her celebration to October of this year. However, a further lockdown meant Nicole's wedding in British Columbia couldn't go ahead this year either. The hotel initially offered Nicole a stay in the hotel to the value of her deposit, which Nicole refused as she lives nearby. She's since been back in touch with them to see if she can reschedule again, but isn't getting anywhere.
I'd originally asked them if they would, allow me to, push the date out to another time. And I've just not heard anything back, Jonathan. I mean, I've sent numerous emails. I've even been down to the hotel and spoke to the receptionist who said that she would put a high alert on their email system for them to contact me. And she said they would contact me that day, and they haven't. They've just ignored everything.
Nicole joins us on the line. Nicole, hi, how you doing?
Hi, Ed. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Let's cross over to Miles, who hopefully should have some news for us. Miles, what's going on?
Yeah, so we contacted the hotel to fill them in on what Nicole had told us and to say, look, it was mentioned to you, it was agreed that the date could be moved again if the holiday, or if the wedding in Canada was cancelled. So if Nicole couldn't have a wedding, join the tribe, do all the amazing things that she wanted to do, they'd be able to move it again. So I put this to them. The hotel have got back to me, and they've said, due to a miscommunication, the client's request had not been noted. Thank you for contacting us to bring the matter to our attention, and we've made contact with the client today, this was on Tuesday, to rectify the situation and apologise for the confusion. So that means Nicole should have had a conversation with the hotel, and hopefully there's good news.
Nicole, is that the case? I mean, what's happened?
So, as Miles just said, they did call and spoke to a lady who said there'd been a miscommunication and they would refund me. She asked if I could send over my details and gave me her email address, which I did. And she said that they would send over a refund, which I'm still waiting for.
So do you think it deserves half a horn? What do you reckon?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the fact that we haven't heard anything from them, and the next day after I'd been on the show, they got in touch. I think they deserve half a horn.
Okay, let's do it. We'll catch up with you, and and hopefully you can get the money back. But how are you feeling? Because this must have been really stressful for you.
It was. I think the most stressful thing and frustrating thing was just that no one, we wasn't getting anyone to respond to us, and especially when we went down there and spoke to the receptionist, he was really helpful.
Yeah.
It almost felt like you'd gone through that marriage or relationship breakup and you were just getting ignored, and I think that was the hardest thing because we just wanted to talk to somebody.
Yeah, you just wanted someone to tell you, just to communicate with you.
Exactly.
Nicole, keep us updated on how you get on. Listen, thank you, and hopefully there will be a resolution to this. Miles, what are we going to do next?
I guess the next thing to do, we're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, wait for the money to come into the account. We'll give it a couple more days, and Nicole will be in touch just to check it's come in so that we can give the hotel the full horn. I do have a question, though. What's the plan with the wedding? Are you still planning to go to Canada? Do you know when you're planning on going? Are you going to get yourself in this tribe?
Yeah, hopefully. So it's all looking good for next year. So next August we should be going out there and doing everything we dreamed of doing.
Amazing.
I just want to say thank you guys for all your help. Really appreciate it.
Listen, no worries. Thank you. And when it eventually happens, I mean, wow, it sounds as if it's like a film. It's like one of those classic films. It's sort of being married in a tribe. It reminds me of like an Eddie Murphy film. I can't remember that film, but fingers crossed it will happen. Nicole, keep us updated. Thank you. Val, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Hi, Edward. I'm fine. Nice morning.
It's a lovely morning. Listen, lovely to have you on the radio. Tell us about your consumer problem. Take us back to the beginning. But can I just say, please don't name any brands or companies, please.
That's fine. Way back in August 2019, we purchased a bundle which was a carpet cleaner and a steam mop, which cost quite a lot of money, to help my mother, who is in her 80s and partially sighted, thinking it would make the floor cleaning easier, which, despite her being in her 80s, she still gets down on her hands and knees and cleans her kitchen floor. So I thought that would help. The mop had been turned on once to demonstrate to Mum, and then I think she thought, right, okay, and that was stored. And then very recently, Mum decided that she needs to stop doing the floor on her hands and knees and use a steam cleaner. So in the last month, we visited and I showed her what she needs to do. And then a few weeks later, I got a call from her saying the cleaner had come apart. On the next visit, we determined the cleaner was broken, but it had a screw actually hanging out of the top part. And this is a real concern because of Mum's eyesight. Mum could have got injured. Luckily, she turned it off at the mains plug and didn't sustain any injuries. So I thought, no, I'm not happy with that. And I emailed the company via their website and took them a number of days to respond, expressed my concern, and they said the item was out of guarantee, which I totally understood, but I thought they'd take the issue up because of the serious safety implications. Then responded, reiterating about the safety aspect, which they totally misread, thinking an injury was caused, and said about personal injury claim procedures, photos, hospital and everything like that. Then the last one I received, they was not sympathetic really whatsoever, more like they can offer a replacement at a discounted rate. I'm just a bit unhappy about that. I know it's been a long time and out of warranty, but I do feel that as it's only been turned on now twice, which the second time it just fell apart, I think there was an issue in the first place.
Sure. Val, thank you very much for giving us what you've experienced, and hopefully we can help you out and get to the bottom of this. Can I go back and just want to ask you a couple of questions? How much was the steam mop? How much did you get it for?
It's strange because it was included in a bundle, and the bundle was £249, and they actually advertise that they give you the mop for nothing. So realistically, they discount it off of the invoice, but it should be like a penny off £70.
And the bundle, what's the bundle part of?
The bundle was a carpet cleaner as well, which in fact that we only used very recently because of COVID and everything. We've been doing sort of self-distancing and absolutely everything and lockdown and keeping Mum safe because of her age, and things like this have just got put on the back burner really.
Val, can I also ask how it's been stored? How have you stored the steam mop?
It's just been stored upright in the spare bedroom, and obviously Mum has got quite a lot of space.
Yeah. Ideally,
it looks. I've got it sitting here, and it looks brand new. After this, I actually purchased. I thought, right, I can do with one of those, and I purchased one for myself. So now I've given Mum mine because I feel quite guilty about it, really.
No, sure. Nothing to feel guilty about. We'll hopefully get to the bottom of this. Ideally, what are you looking for? What are you looking for in order to resolve this?
Well, I just would like the company to really take it on board, and there's got to have been a problem with it, because for it to fall apart now and to have this screw hanging out, which we can't see any way of putting it back together or what failed. A nice new mop would be nice, but I think, I do appreciate that it's well out of guarantee. But the other item had a 6-year guarantee.
Would you be happy?
I'm a little bit.
No, but I mean, would you be, hearing this? And I've got to be honest with you. I'm when it comes to mops, I'm old school. So hearing you with your experiences, I need to get a mop because I feel really out of touch. But would you be happy if it was repaired?
Yes, that's fine.
You'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Let's cross over now to Miles, and hopefully Miles will be able to work his magic wand and to try and get this resolved for you, Miles.
Yeah, this is quite a tricky case, just because the mop was involved as part of a bundle. So what we'll have to do is we will have to look into that, but as it was part of a larger purchase, which did cost quite a lot of money, we will go to the company. We will remind them. I know that you've mentioned the 2-year guarantee, but that doesn't necessarily matter in this situation because, as per the Consumer Rights Act, items should be of reasonable quality and last a fair and reasonable amount of time. So we'll put that to them, give them a chance to respond, and as we've mentioned, a repair could potentially be the outcome because retailers do have the opportunity to repair as per the Consumer Rights Act.
That's fine.
Val, how's that sound to you?
Yes, that's fine.
So we'll keep you in the loop, and then hopefully we'll get an update, and fingers crossed, can't make any promises, but you'll get a new mop, or at least get it repaired.
That's great. Okay.
Val, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Miles, you're going to get on the case.
Straight away.
Have you got a mop? You got a steam mop?
I have a mop that my girlfriend bought because she...
Why are you bringing your girlfriend into this? I said, have you got a mop, a steam mop?
Well, it's a shared mop. We share things. 50-50. It's all equal, but she chooses because she knows what she's doing.
Okay. Mate, you've got to get on the case on this.
Straight away.
You might remember this from earlier in the week. Back in February, Gary ordered a sofa costing £5,000. In June, it was delivered, but Gary noticed a couple of problems. One of the panel wasn't lined up correctly, and there was also a broken rivet. The company sent someone out to try and fix it, but Gary's not happy.
They sent 2 engineers out, basically to have an assess the problem. They turned around to the wife and said, I know, how about if we put a bolt through the hole, to the wife? And she said, no, in a nutshell, because it's brand new. Why would we want a bolt replacing a rivet that it's supposed to be? So then they said, okay, it's a new whole mechanism. And they took a picture of the oversized panel as well. I kept on chasing, and finally they did come out to replace the mechanism. When they did, there is a big zip panel at the bottom to get to all the screws on the panel, and which they'd undone most of the screws, and one screw, it meant they would have had to go to their van and get a little hand screwdriver just to get in there. Instead of doing that, they just put their battery drill straight through the bottom of the dust panel, causing the hole to undo the screw.
Gary is back with us on the show. Morning, Gary.
Morning, Ed.
And Miles, gosh, I mean, where do we go? I mean, we were hoping to hear some news on this case. What's going on? What's happened?
Right, so let me quickly recap everything that's happened with this case so far. So, as you heard, Gary came to us with his issues with the hole in the dust cloth underneath the sofa and that the panels still weren't lined up. So, at first, we contacted the company to highlight Gary's issues and ask what could be done. They contacted Gary, had a conversation with him and organised for the repair of this sofa. Both repairs, so a new dust cloth was ordered and they were going to send an engineer out to align the panels so that it was all lined up properly so he could have a comfortable couch. At this time, Gary was still slightly worried that the panels wouldn't be able to be lined up, that the engineer wouldn't be able to fix the sofa. So we did contact the company again just to relay Gary's concerns. They came back to me and they said that they'd spoken to a technician and they were confident that it was going to have a satisfactory outcome. We were waiting for a date for this all to take place. The dust cloth was on order, so we had to wait for that to come in. Now, we spoke to Gary earlier this week and he was due to have a visit yesterday. So what we're hoping is that he's had a visit from an engineer, everything's fixed and we're all happy. And hopefully this is what's happened.
Gary.
I got home quite late yesterday. I've been working outside all day, so I was freezing cold. Just wanted to jump in the bath and have my tea. I got a phone call off the engineer at 6:10 saying we'll be another half an hour before we get to you. And I said, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. Because I wanted to get in the bath, warm up, have my tea and relax. And all they were adamant in doing was arguing, saying that's part of a normal working day, which I wasn't best pleased about.
So are you going to reschedule?
It's been rescheduled for the 13th, I believe.
It's going to be rescheduled. I mean,
but
these things happen.
Were,
yeah, sure.
They were only saying they were only coming to look as well.
See, the thing with these, when I've had to call for a laptop or for an item, and it goes past 6 o'clock, and they give you a whole window, and they say, look, you have to be at home, and they will get back to you at a set time. You're expecting them to get to you at a set time, but at least it's disappointing. But at least you've got the option now to have that rescheduled date. I mean, that's kind of promising in a sense, isn't it?
Not the way the engineer was speaking, because they just want to have a look at it, not do the work.
Gary, just quickly, when they've rescheduled it in, has it been confirmed that the work's going to be done, or are you still under the impression that they're just coming to look at it?
Just coming to look at it.
Right,
and the way they said.
And you said the 13th. That's a Saturday. I just want to get that right.
It could be the 15th. It's something like that. Without looking at on my phone, because they sent a text about when's best to come. And
Okay.
I said, yeah, that's fine.
Right, what I think we're going to do is we'll get back in contact with the company. We will let them know what's happened yesterday and ask them what's going on, so they can confirm with us that whether or not, when the engineer comes out, that they will be repairing the sofa on that day as was originally promised.
To give you some clarity, Gary, because I think that's what you need on this.
Yeah, I'm getting told different things from different people.
Yeah.
As the company stated, they were coming out to fix. As the engineer was stating, it was to have a look. They've been out a couple of times before and looked at it.
Gary, we'll contact them to find out what's happening, and hopefully when we next speak, it'll be positive news. Is that okay for you?
I hope so.
Gary, don't.
I've still got my fingers crossed.
Listen,
I think they're going
keep
blue
your fingers
at the
crossed.
moment.
We'll keep you updated, and thank you for letting us know. Now, you might remember this story. A story that Justin covered when he was filling in for Jonathan. It's about Tiffany and her car in a garage. Now, Tiffany's car had a broken pipe and took it to a garage to be repaired on the 26th of August. The following day, she had a call to say it had been hit overnight whilst it had been parked just outside of the garage. Tiffany went to see the car, and all the panels on the left had been hit and the front was twisted. It turns out there has been £11,500 worth of damage to the car, and it's a write-off. The garage owner initially said he would go through his insurance company and told Tiffany he thought someone from another business had hit the car. But sometime afterwards, he told Tiffany he couldn't claim because the car was parked outside of his garage. Well, the plot thickens. Tiffany had a call out of the blue from someone who said they knew what happened.
I received a call one evening, it was about 2 weeks ago now, from somebody that has works for the yard where my car was, and they said that somebody else there heard a big crash on the evening of the 27th, and he said that my car has fallen off of the ramp inside the garage. We then visited the man from the garage to ask him the truth and say that we've basically been told this has happened. He still denied it, but then said that we could try to go through his insurance company again.
Right.
So we then started to do that, and I went to visit him because it'd been 2 weeks and still nothing has been resolved. His company, his insurance company, was still trying to decide if they would take on the claim or not. When I visited him, he was still saying that we're putting things together. My car was never on a ramp. He slid underneath it to do the work. And then a minute later, he decided to tell the truth, and he admitted that my car did come off of the ramp.
Tiffany says she recorded a conversation with the garage owner, but he's unaware she was recording it at the time. And Tiffany joins us on the show this morning. Tiffany, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good to speak to you, Miles. This case. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, what's the story behind it? You've got an update. Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, so this case actually came to us when Justin was filling in for Jonathan. So let me recap what's happened to this point. Justin contacted the garage owner. He was expecting the garage owner to push back against him, but the garage owner did admit that the car fell off the ramp. He said it wasn't him, that his friend had been using the garage, and when he got in the next morning, the car was off the ramp. He said initially he thought the car had been hit outside, as his friend had parked the car outside afterwards, and tried to tell him, but there'd been a miscommunication. It also apparently left a note in the car, which the garage owner hadn't received or didn't see. Initially, the garage owner had told his insurance company that the car was hit outside, as he believed, and when he found out later that the car had fallen off the ramp, that's when he called his insurance company again to tell them what had happened. So now, from the insurance company's point of view, they had two different stories as to what happened, so they needed to conduct an investigation. The garage owner said that he told Justin that he wanted to try to resolve this issue as quickly as possible, and that the insurance company was due to take statements from both him and his friend that were involved. Justin did call his insurance company just to fact check this statement, because all he had was the garage owner's word. So he called them just to double check they were telling the truth, and he was. They were due to take statements from both the garage owner and his friend and do an investigation as to what's actually happened. That brings us to now. Meanwhile, throughout this time, Tiffany has been left without a car through no fault of her own, whilst this insurance company has been undertaking this investigation. So this is something that we've been pushing to try to get resolved, and I believe that Tiffany has some news for us.
Tiffany, what's the latest?
So I heard earlier this week, last week, the insurance company were going to inspect my car to have a look at it and see what the damage actually was, as they hadn't actually got that far previously. And now I have heard back, and the insurance company have taken full liability for my car, finally. So it will be going through the garage's insurance company, and I've just got to wait now for them to, I think, inspect my car again to see if they will completely write it off, or they think they will be able to repair it.
And if it's written off, what does that mean?
So I would then be getting a payout worth the value of my car, so I can then go and purchase a new car.
Excellent.
That's positive news. And I suppose you need a courtesy car or something. Just how are you managing to get around? Because that must be really complicated.
It is a little bit complicated, yes. I've got family and my partner as well. He's got a van, luckily, so he can get around to work and things, and just sort of having to rely on other people, really.
Will you keep us on how you get on, and fingers crossed?
Yes, I will do.
Brilliant. Mars,
yes.
You keep us updated on this.
We'll keep us updated. Tiffany, let us know how you get on, because then once you've got a car, we can then give the company the horn.
Yes. We could press the button. You could get the horn. Tiffany, keep us in the loop. Thank you. Have a great day.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Angela decided to replace her computer as it had got too slow. She decided to treat herself to one with a big screen. It cost almost £900, and she bought it back in January 2019. In August, the screen became covered in black lines and she couldn't use it. She contacted the retailer, and they did fix the problem and sent it back to her. Well, everything was fine up until recently, when the same thing happened again.
2.5 months ago, 2 permanent vertical lines appeared again on my screen. And actually, since then, another 2 more have come. Now, I phoned up the retailer, and their first reaction was, 2 years out of is the warranty. It's over 2 years.
Oh.
Yep. So, I mean, I just couldn't believe it, because, I mean, it's an expensive machine.
Angela joins us on the show. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Edward.
Good morning. Miles, what's the latest on this?
So originally we contacted the company, who I can say the retailer was John Lewis, because they gave us the following statement. We're really sorry to hear of the issues Angela has had with her laptop. When Angela initially contacted us about the laptop in 2019, we organised for it to be repaired by the manufacturer. When Angela emailed us to advise of the second issue in August, the laptop was no longer in warranty. We therefore asked Angela to provide an inspection report from the manufacturer identifying the fault and its cause, so we could understand more about the issue, which we haven't yet received. We're in the process of contacting Angela to see how we can help her. Now, we had Angela on the show and we spoke about this. Angela wasn't too happy about this, and we ended up going back to the company and we said that Angela would obtain an independent report from a suitably qualified professional to determine whether this was a manufacturing fault, as per her consumer rights of 2015. She is allowed to source an independent report herself. So they came back to us and said, absolutely, we take our responsibility under the Consumer Rights Act very seriously, and they've now been in touch with Angela so that they can help her and have organised an inspection of her laptop. They've covered the cost of this as a goodwill gesture, and of course they will keep in contact with Angela on this issue. So Angela should have heard from John Lewis.
Has that happened, Angela?
Yes, it has. I spoke initially to the customer relations manager. He arranged for collection of my machine. I then got the next day an email saying that the machine had arrived and was going to be inspected. Now, late yesterday afternoon, I got a very interesting email from them, and it says they've assessed the device and identified a component that is not working correctly and issued a quotation for the repair. But on this occasion, they have instructed the repair centre to proceed with the repair at no cost to me. So I'm very grateful for all your intervention, and I don't think without it, anything would have happened.
Wow, so that's it's pleasing. So it's great to hear that at least there's been a positive outcome to this.
Yes,
Are you happy?
Obviously, that they will get in touch when the repair has been done and return it, and providing everything as well. Then that should be the end of the story.
Fingers crossed. Are you happy, Angela, with this?
Well, yes, absolutely. I'm delighted. I really am, because I don't think that I should have been in this situation, but because I was, I'm very grateful to JVS for stepping in and making things happen.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you, Angela. Listen, we'll catch up with you at a later date, and hopefully we'll have more good news.
Indeed. Many thanks.